a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Jeremy Lee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it. Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, Jeremy Lee.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to episode number 244 of Sports Cards Live. It is Saturday night, October the 26th, 2024. My name is Jeremy Lee, and boy, am I excited for this show tonight, guys. Tomorrow night, though, on the channel, Fanatics Collect Hockey Weekly Auction Ending Watch Party will be live with Josh Madigan from the Hockey Cards Gongshow. Join us here back tomorrow night. A few of our sponsor partner shoutouts. Filth Bomb Breaks offers live case and box break, and they do so with responsibility and integrity. If you enjoy group breaks and are looking for a company to break with, check out Filth Bomb, streaming on Fanatics Live on 4 channels, 7 days a week. And if you are looking to add a grail to your collection, check out Fund Your Cards. They are the hobby's leading consolidator. They will help you finance the purchase of your card, of the grail, with your own cards. fundyourcards.com. Check out the next episode of the Fund Your Cards show, streaming live here on the Sports Cards Live YouTube channel a little bit later in November. And Mintink is a leading hobby brand in Canada. They offer a full range of services from in-person shopping, live shopping at their 2 Toronto stores. They have auctions, they do breaks, grading, and more. Their primary focus is to bring the ultimate hobby experience to collectors in Canada. In every episode of Sports Cards Live, they are giving away a $50 gift card for their mintink.ca online store, and we will be doing that later tonight. Also, check out hobbynewsdaily.com, guys, for your daily dose of hobby news articles and a podcast. And Leighton Sheldon from Just Collect will not be joining us tonight for the Vintage Spotlight, but do check out the Vintage Spotlight podcast on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. It is a spinoff from the Sports Cards Live show. And guys, with that, Sports Cards Live is available on Apple, Spotify, wherever you do get your podcasts. Please subscribe, leave a review. Greatly appreciate it. And as always, thank you to all of our loyal viewers and listeners. If you are not yet subscribed, please take a moment and do so. And as always tonight, your comments, your questions are in play, but we do have a busy episode tonight. About 13 different guests will be coming through, and we're going to start right now by bringing on the manager of the Sport Card Expo, Mr. Mikey Singer. He's down at the bottom of his screen, as you can see right there. Mikey, welcome back to another Expo Let's Get Hyped episode.
I'm pumped. Great to be here. Great to be on the other side, not just watching you, but actually participating tonight.
Yeah, it's good to have you back, buddy. Expo is around the corner, and look who just popped in. None other than the man who owns the Expo, Mr. Steve. Are you ready to come on? Give me thumbs up if you're ready, Steve. He's saying
he's born ready. Born ready.
What's going on, Steve? Welcome back to the channel.
I'm trying to rock the Jeremy Lee look.
Yeah, right. You better let it grow.
That is growing.
How are you, Steve?
I'm good. Thank you. Good to be here.
It's good to have you. And listen, I mean, you're coming off of the Montreal Expo just a few weeks ago. Now we've got the Toronto Expo coming up right away. How busy has it been for you the last couple months?
Yeah, it's been real busy, but I like it. It's kind of the way we've set it up, and I've had enough time to live my life as well. So I'm real happy. I like this time of year. Come to like it almost as much as you guys do.
I don't know if that's possible as much as me. We also have Ameet and Sam in the back. We're going to bring you guys on in just a couple of moments, guys. But before we do, I just want to sit here because between Steve and Mikey on the screen right now, I mean, you guys with your teams, and let's face it, you've got a great team. You got a big team there. I've gotten to know them over the past couple of years, but you guys are putting on a big production. You're doing it several times a year. I mean, 2 Torontos a year, 2 Montreals a year, an Edmonton, a Quebec. And you're also involved with the Strongsville show down in Ohio. So things are busy. And are you finding ways to always innovate? And Steve, this is for you. Are you always finding ways to innovate and try to add things to the show to make it even a better experience for people who are coming to it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably the thing I work on the most. I mean, I really looked at dealers and to you guys to really produce the main content, i.e. the cards, and really all of the stuff that people really come for. But yeah, how do I make the experience better? What's new? I go to a lot of the shows. I mean, obviously see you a lot of times a year in other cities. But it's also I look at things outside of the direct hobby market. I mean, as some people know, prior to this, I was in the Comic-Con fan expo space, and there's a lot of great learnings from there, and a lot of those have come over to our space, both in terms of the companies that are in those areas as well as just the experiences. So yeah, that's probably job one. I mean, it was at Fanatics Fest with you in August, and saw some great things there in terms of the real fan experience from all the leagues, and so yeah, anything that makes the experience richer. Yeah, all the regular stuff is key, but things that aren't just transactional, but it just allows people to have a deeper, richer connection with authentic fans, authentic leagues and teams and players and stuff. So yeah,
and I can vouch for you on that, because I remember after one of the first expos after you took over, I remember bumping into you at the National down in Chicago or Atlantic City, wherever it was, and hey, what are you doing here? You're like, I'm checking it out. And I've seen you at all the Nationals, at several other shows as well. So I think it's great that I see you there. Mikey, I want to ask you kind of a similar question, because you are, and I don't exactly know the best way to describe what you do versus what Steve does. I know you guys work very closely together. I know anytime I'm on the phone with you, you're like, hang on, Steve's calling me, or I'm on the phone with Steve, like, hang on, Mikey's calling me. So I know you guys are constantly in communication. But Mikey, we talk a lot, and I want to ask you the question so that people listening and watching can understand from you directly. But same question to you. What are you doing to try to always elevate this show, being the Sport Card Expo, and enhance the experience for attendees and even vendors?
So I think it's on a couple fronts. So first and foremost, we've brought better fan experiences with all of the guests that we're bringing in by providing Q&As and photo shoots and greater opportunities to meet and really interact with these fans and these amazing athletes that are coming in. That's been a great part of it. We've done a great job of bringing in and been very welcoming to a lot of the media creators. So really engaging with the up and coming community, and have done a good job bringing those in, and we're seeing results, right? Being on this show, Jay was going to join us. Obviously, he can't now, but all of those creators who come in, it's from fostering that relationship, and then finally bringing in endemic sponsors and supporting them to create great experiences on the show floor. So we've always had great vendors there creating great experiences at the retail level. Now we have endemic sponsors there like PSA, eBay, coming in and really showcasing what it's all about to be part of the show and part of the community itself.
Yeah, and obviously, we've noticed that as vendors and as collectors and as the various people from the companies that come to the show, they are part of the whole experience for everybody, and it's enhanced it. I mean, I've been saying for years, and Ameet will vouch for me. It's like, and here, let's bring on Ameet for a moment. There he is. Ameet's been my booth neighbor for 15 years now, and we see each other, bro hugs. The Wednesday night before the show. At the end of Sunday, we're like, bro hug. All right, dude. Well, the countdown is on till the next expo, and we just always can't wait. And it always does seem to get better. Ameet, hang tight. I want to say we got people on Instagram. If you are watching on Instagram, guys, feel free to come on over to YouTube for the better viewing experience. But I do appreciate you all being here. Ameet, I mean, man, here we go again. Another trip around the world here, back to the expo. What are you sort of looking forward to? What's different? Anything different about this show for you coming up?
Well, for me, I got the pleasure. We're not together at the same time, but we're kitty corner from each other. That's new. That's kind of new. But Steve has graciously allowed me to get a corner booth, so I'm extremely excited for that. I've got a lot more cards than I've ever had before in terms of singles. So I'm excited about that. And also, my number one reason I'm excited, really want to connect with other friends. I want to talk to you, Jeremy. I want to bug Steve. I want to chase Mikey around the room for various things. It's just I just want to relax and be a 12-year-old boy again. Honestly, it's been such a negative vibe everywhere else in the world. Let's just make this one the positive. This is my positive. This is my vacation. That's what I'm looking forward to.
And let me ask you this, Ameet. You know, the guys that run Expo, Mikey, Steve Menzie, their teams, you know, they've brought additional sort of resources, let's call them, to the Expo. The app, for example, that's something new that has come on. I got to go back to you on that one, Mikey, because the app it's something great. Tell us a little bit about the Sport Card Expo app, and what should people be out there downloading it right now? What should they be doing? How can they be using it to enhance their experience?
Yeah, so one of the things we talked about innovation and investment. Steve has made it a point to really make it a year-round connection for the hobby. We have an app where it's really, you know, the show has grown to such a point where if you're looking for that specific vendor, there's no better way to find it than utilizing the app. It's an interactive map.
Changing the floor plan, yeah.
Exactly. We'll get to the point where we're going to talk about how it's a new floor plan. It's the biggest show that has ever been in Toronto, by square footage and by booth size. So it's really a beautiful thing that Steve has been. When you talked about Steve being busy, that's what he's working on, making this the best show possible that we've ever seen. But the app is the best way to find, and we're streaming into it. So not only are we doing content on the stage with both, you know, athletes and creators such as yourself, but we're also going to be streaming that live into the app. So if you can't make it all the way to the stage, you can still watch it. Or if you can't make it that specific day, you can still be part of the show. You can plan, connect with vendors leading in, talk about what you need to sell. So it's a really great way to stay connected to the community and start your show a little early.
Right on. I'm just looking at Instagram, and Corey Fick from Show Your Slab says Steve is one of the best showrunners in the game. And I know that Corey's been to all the shows with Show Your Slab. So thank you, Corey, if you're still there, and welcome everybody who's just joined us. If you come over from Instagram, that is great. Let's bring on now, guys. He's sitting in the background. Let's bring on Sam Genova. There he is. Sam is he's my booth partner. He's there. He's helping me out. Sam's got better inventory than I do. So make sure you come by our booth, a Sports Cards Live booth. And I got to say to Sam, I'm grateful to Sam because he really does help me at my booth. And especially this time, Mikey, as you know, I'm going to be spending more time than ever on the stages doing various hosting and that. So I'm going to be leaning on you, Sam, more than ever in Toronto. But how are you doing, buddy? Are you excited for the Toronto Expo?
How can you not be excited for the Expo, Toronto Expo? I mean, you know, it's the best Expo, you know, around, and it's just great to see everybody. You know, I've been fortunate in the last couple of years to attend to a lot of the expos that you guys are putting together and doing a great job and growing in Montreal and Quebec. But you know, Toronto's been there for so long, and it's been, you know, so much fun, and I've met so many collectors thanks to Jeremy being there, just hanging out. And for me, it's just a good time to see everybody hang out, those dinners. And you know, I built a really strong friendship. I consider Jeremy a really good friend of mine now. So it's you know, and always looking forward to meeting new people and new collectors, and you know, so I'm pumped. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
And tell people listening, watching, who are going to be at the Expo a little bit about what kind of inventory do you carry. And Ameet, I want to hear from you after this, but tell us just a little bit about the kind of inventory that you bring. And I know what it is. I've seen it twice in the last month at other shows, including the Montreal Expo and the Van City Card Show. But tell us a little bit about the type of inventory that you bring to card shows and to the Expo in particular.
Yeah, so what I basically bring is what I like to collect. So it's mostly like 90% autograph cards. I like patch autos, mostly of Hall of Famers, some newer players, but that's not really my thing. Mostly Hall of Famers. You know, always bringing Gretzky, Lemieux, cards that people, you know, want. But it's Jared, it's a wide range of cards, from, you know, graded stuff, a little bit of vintage, not too much, but more modern, you know, patch cards and Hall of Famers and autographs and stuff like that.
Yeah, you know what else Sam brings? A great attitude, a big smile every single day. He's been at every show, I feel like, in the last rotation of 2024. obviously with this being the Super Bowl of it. So it's been great to see Sam almost every single show.
Yeah, and same to you guys. You guys are always, I feel like we've become very close too, even though we may not be able to get to chat. It's just that smile across the room looking at you guys and that smirk, and it's always good vibes. You guys are doing a great job, and just keep up the great work, man. I love to see how, because the shows I've been to previously before you guys were there, it's a total different vibe. And just keep up the great work, man. What can I say?
Yeah, that's definitely one thing I always come back to with the team and everything else, is that this is a passion. It's a hobby based on passion. So, guys, if we're not having fun here and helping people, enable people to have fun, then you got to do a bit of a reality check. So, thanks for saying that, Sam.
The hobby is so much more than just the cards. It really is. The people are such a big part of it. The cards are a huge part of it too. Let's not kid ourselves. But if I didn't have the hobby and my friends through the hobby and the community, I don't know where I would get most of my just life enjoyment from. And call me a cardboard nerd like Ameet and I like to call each other, and it's all in with love versus anything else. Ameet, let's hear a little bit about the kind of inventory that you're bringing this time, and maybe what are you going to be able to help collectors with at the expo in 2 weeks from now?
For this time around, I'm really concentrating on the set singles and the inserts from the various sets in the last 2 to 3 years. So set collectors and insert collectors and player collectors will be able to find a lot of things from the $1 up to $100 range, right? That's the thing I'm most excited to bring, because that's what I cut my teeth on when I first joined the expo. I have also non-sport, Marvel, X-Files, hockey, basketball, football. Got a little bit of everything. Mikey, come over. A little bit of everything for everyone to come and take a look at. And the one thing you mentioned earlier, Jeremy, about the Mikey and Steve's of the world of the expo, the one thing they have brought to the expo is a level of professionalism and spit polish that was missing. So I like seeing that. It feels like I'm part of a grander thing. So kudos to you for doing that, bringing that aura and atmosphere to the show. That's the stuff I'm bringing, it's the stuff I'm selling, and I hope a lot of people will pop by.
Right on. Steve, you got something to jump in with?
And I want to give that back to the dealers, the exhibitors, the professionalism across the board. I think at not just Expo, at all the shows is coming up. Dealers get that they've got to really up their game in terms of what and how they present. I mean, it's just like the retail space, and even that's changed. But all the companies that are there, and again, it's the big companies as well as the individual dealers. So I think everyone's taking it more seriously in that way, and I think it just lends to a better experience for everyone.
No doubt. Let's go to the chat, guys. We've got a bunch of people in there. I want to say hello to Jacob Dahl, who's always here. Good to see you, Jacob. Brett S says good afternoon. I think he's in Australia. Jeff McMahon is here. Motorcycle Mark, congrats on the Dodgers yesterday. Rob Scott, good evening to you. Laura, welcome to the show. Jason Wormy, my buddy the Worm Dog, is here. Says Mikey S. This is the guy that was at my booth at the
Edmonton. Guys, I knew it right away when I saw the message.
Him and I, we went through business school together in university. Todd McDonald is very excited for the expo. Chad Shipper, what's going on, Chad? Are you coming up to expo again? I don't remember. Doghouse hockey cards in the house. What's going on? Vintage. Would the expo benefit by having less hockey and drawing a wider audience? It's a huge audience, and there's tons of non-hockey. I don't know that there's really I don't think that's an issue. So we can come back to that if you guys want when we're done this. C. Eddie B. Neil, got to see you today. Thanks, buddy. Good to see you. Joe Perot is here, says some good hobby representatives, classy all around. Thank you, Joe. Luigi says Fanatics/PWCC not attending for the first time in a while. I mean that was something that I learned about just the other day. Steve, anything you can mention about Fanatics Collect not coming up to the expo this time?
Only speculation. I mean, I know that part of the transition, the team that I used to work with is, has been repositioned. I speak to some of the Fanatics people all the time, but I don't have a real good answer other than they've not booked. It was, and that's relatively recent. 8 weeks ago they were talking to us about being there under the Collect brand, but it just didn't happen. So it is unusual, and PWCC had been there now for the last, I don't know how many, quite a few shows, and they're always taking out truckloads of stuff for consignment. So I'm a bit surprised, but it might just be part of the, finding the new way on it. So
maybe we'll see them back in the spring. There's Mo. Yeah, man. Card says, really excited for the expo. Looking forward to bugging Sam. Justin Bode. What's going on, buddy? I love you too, Justin. Good to see you. Brett S is definitely Aussie. Appreciate that. Right on. Good stuff. So, all right. Well, I'm so excited for it coming up, as you guys well know. 99-cent cards. Fall Expo is my Christmas, right? Mm-hmm. It's basically like a holiday for most of us, that's for sure. So, Steve, anything like, are there any new installations or activations or anything new this time? Like, I remember a couple shows ago, there was like the F1 section. There was a car there, I believe, in Hall 4, or anything you want to let people know about the fact that we're moving into a new configuration and a new hall. Is it going to be harder to find? What can people expect that way?
Yeah, I mean, that's been the toughest thing. So since COVID, every floor plan has been different, and that's as difficult as on me as it is on everybody else. I mean, it's kind of like the movie 50 First Dates, I guess, in that every time you go, it's there's a lot of the same, but it's different. So it's I'll own this piece right here, is that I've definitely been late getting everything done and finalized, a few changes on both the floor plan and the sponsor makeup and stuff. But I've got a bright new shiny floor plan that's ready to share first thing Monday morning. So it's June of 22, which was the second show post-COVID. We were in this other hall number 2. And I know the show had been there like back in the mid 2010s, so like 14 or something like that. So it's a big hall, but we've actually added halls 3 and 4. So where we were doing on-site grading last November with PSA, Beckett, and KSA, M&T, we're back in that hall again, and back in 4 with the Autograph Pavilion and a bunch of vendors. The only upside to Fanatics Collect not being there is that it's 4 extra booths that we've got for dealers. So it's a new floor plan, and there's a lot of great exciting things that way. Small activations that are new and exciting. The stage continues to be a real important part. The content creators are a real big draw. We've got a few neat things. We've got a neat board from the Fanatics idea, but the NHL experience down there, some shooting experiences and that kind of thing. Mikey, anything I missed?
I want to ask you this, Steve. I want to ask a bit about vendor turnover, something I'm curious about. Like, what is the rate of that, would you say? How many, gut feel, if how many vendors have we lost from prior show? I mean, let's face it, there is natural attrition, and that's what I'm talking about. How many have we lost? How many new vendors, or are there going to be many new vendors that we haven't seen before at an expo at this one coming up here in November?
Yeah, there are. And it's not that we lose that many. I mean, invariably we do. And, occasionally there's a holiday conflict or whatever. Literally, it's just life attrition that happens, to a couple of guys. But it's very little. We lose very few dealers, and we get a lot of new ones. And we'll still have a pretty big waiting list that we can't get into this show. And I'm okay with that, because what I've learned is that a lot of the people that are on the dealer list are also that want to be there, are also there as attendees, and they're there buying and selling anyway. So it's just sometimes some people want to be there set up, and sometimes they don't, or they can't. And we just can't accommodate everybody that wants to have a booth. And I think I'm okay with that. I think most people are okay with that. But we still get 80% or more that have rebooked. Again, it's gone up since COVID and hasn't gone down that way. And it's I do struggle a little bit to keep that balance. I've had a few people criticize the amount of corporate that's there in terms of booth space, but quite honestly, they enhance the professionalism of the show. They bring a lot of exciting activations, some great product, and they buy our products. So yeah.
Well, no matter what you do, someone's going to find something to criticize something, Steve. So don't worry about that. Let me tell you.
Well, if I don't get some criticism, I'm not working hard enough. So
exactly. And how many years have you been running Expo now, Steve?
So I started in 2016.
Okay,
so it's it's not 10 years yet, but it's been well, obviously the 3 we missed for COVID, but then I've tried to make up with that with other markets. So so
right on. Now I want to I gotta plug the Thursday night event, the networking event that I host at Jack Astor's. I'm looking forward to everybody coming out to that. You four for sure. I know Mikey. I always say, Mikey, you gonna come? He's like, we'll see. Well, and then you never, because you don't even leave the expo till we're done at Jack Astor's.
I was just gonna say, I'm working while Steve gets to hang out with the cool people. We're right behind making sure everything's ready to go.
Speaking of needing a bigger venue, what the heck, Jeremy? Like,
yeah. Hey,
yeah,
like you said. Go ahead, Sam.
You're gonna be able to fit everybody. I don't know. That invitation's growing every year, man.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. You know, people come and go. And the nice thing about it is that there's a whole bar and restaurant there too. If you can't really make it into our area, you can go there. You can come. You can sneak in, sneak out. You know, it's no big deal. It's a nice, inclusive, welcoming venue for sure. Which, you know, I'm excited. So that is Thursday night. It starts at 8:00, which is when the expo ends. It's a 5-minute drive from the International Center, just up Airport Road, pretty much. And I encourage everybody to come. I talk to the staff at the restaurant. I say, listen, I want the tables to be set up in a way that facilitates networking. I don't want a table of 4. I don't want a bunch of tables of 4 where people just sit there and talk to themselves. I want you to get up, walk around, meet people, because I love this community so much that I just feel like everybody else should love it too. And that's a way to become a part of it. So if you're at the expo and you're coming in from out of town and you are by yourself, come to the event. I've had several people come to the Thursday night event who are by themselves. And I say, let me introduce you to these guys over here. They sit down and they make friends. And now I see them walking around the show floor together the next day. That is my mission with this Thursday night event, is to facilitate relationships, transactions, enjoyment, whatever it might be. Go ahead, Sam.
Can I say you do a really good job of that? Like, you do a really good job of connecting. Really good job. Like, you're honestly, like, even the people that you never forget to introduce me to someone, and that takes a talent. So you're very, very good at that. Really
appreciate it. I really want people to have a good time, and we do it on Thursday night, which we've been doing it Thursday night for 15 years. We started doing it before the expo even was on Thursday. It used to be a 3-day show, and we would do it. And this was back when it was this event has evolved, but it's been going on for 15 years. And it was called the pre-expo traditional dinner, and it was to kick off the weekend. It still kicks off the weekend, but we've already had the first day of the expo. So you're still going to be able to meet people, and you'll see them on the show floor the next day, and you can talk to them and say, hey, it was, whatever it is. It's truly a networking event. It's a relationship building event. And I have to shout out Upper Deck. Upper Deck is sponsoring the appetizers for the second time. So we're going to have chicken wings and nachos and all that. Thank you to Upper Deck for that. Very grateful for their sponsorship of that. And I hope that will continue in the future. And it looks like it will be, because this is the second time running now. So they must have been happy with it the first time, and I couldn't be happier. I think it's just awesome that they're doing that. So a big shout out to Upper Deck, and thank you to them. And it makes sense. I mean, they might have some of the biggest floor space at the show going on many years. And, let's face it, they are the sole licensee for hockey cards. And the show occurs in Canada, and hockey is our national pastime up here. But Americans who come up love the show as well. There's no doubt about that. And speaking of Americans, guys, we have a couple of more guests in the back room who we are going to bring on. Before we bring on Barry Ma from COMC and Chris Carlin from PSA, I want to, first of all, Mikey, you look like you want to say something, and I want to let Sam and Ameet kind of, have some final words. Let's go to you first, Mikey.
So just as you were shouting out your evening, one of the things that has really, happened naturally in the show is evening events coming out of it. So recently we added the Fan Appreciation Night hosted by CSC that happens on the Friday night. And for the last few years since COVID ended and we came back, we've been working with Mintink to throw the trade night on the Saturday, which both nights have doubled almost every single year. The trade night's now up to 600 people coming through, with Grosvenor and eBay sponsoring it. It's a trade night, but it's his party as well. Mintink does a great job of really spicing things up, and CSE does a great job of bringing cosplay and really a really fun TCG edge to that night. So all of it has added up, and we're even thinking about adding some other stuff that we might get into a little later.
And I want to shout out Johnny Amendola and Mintink for having, tying in the mental health fundraiser on Saturday night. It's a $5 donation, gets you into the event, and they're matching it as well. I'm pledging myself $100 towards it because I believe in the cause. It's impacted me personally, very close to my family. So I just think this is what I love about our community, the Sport Card Expo, is that we are so much more than just a bunch of card collectors. We are truly a community, and we are trying to make a difference in society. Not all the time. We do focus on our cards, we do focus on our collections, but we as a community are doing some good things out there, and I'm really proud of that. Sam, I want to give you a final if you have anything else to say, have at her. Now's your chance. Same to you, Ameet, and then we're going to bring on Barry and Chris. So Sam, over to you.
Yeah, just can't wait to see everybody. It's going to be another fantastic show. Just super pumped, excited. And I can't wait. Can't wait for Thursday's event to meet some new collectors, and that just kind of rolls into the whole weekend. So, I'm excited. Can't wait to see everyone.
Well, thanks for coming on, Sam. Sam, everybody, he is my booth partner. He will be tending the booth for me while I'm running around doing a bunch of stage work at the show. So really can't wait to see you, Sam, and hang out with you at the booth for the weekend. Thanks for coming on, and we'll see you soon. Ameet, over to you, buddy.
See you guys.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Sam. Ameet,
hey guys, I just want to say I can't wait for the show, and having a little bit of internet issues. I'm sorry, Jeremy, if I cut you off. I just want to say I can't wait to see all you at the show, and looking forward to meeting new collectors. And Steve, what's the over/under in you losing your voice?
It happens. It happens. I'm okay with that.
All right, Ameet. Thanks, buddy. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care, bud. We'll see you soon. Can't wait.
See ya.
See you soon.
All right. So we're going to bring on Barry Ma first. Barry is with COMC. He works in the Canadian office. You run COMC Canada. Very, very regal of you, Barry. Welcome back. It's been a while since I've had you on. How are you doing, buddy?
Great to be here.
Good. It's good to have you. Chris Carlin, I'm going to bring you both on, then we'll go back. Are you ready to come on, bud? He's ready. All right, let's bring on, there he is, the legend, Chris Carlin from PSA from Collectors. Chris, you are currently muted.
So regal.
Unmute yourself, buddy, and welcome back to the show. How are you doing, bud?
I'm doing so good. Thanks so much for having me, Jeremy. It's the expo is one of those things that you think is going to be a million miles away, and then next thing you know, it's there. So I'm super pumped, and I'm so appreciative that you did this tonight. I think it's so cool.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's good to have you on. I mean, let's face it. You and Barry. Don't worry, I'm going to come right back to you, Chris. You have been at the expo for over 20 years. I mean, you spent a lot of time with Upper Deck. Now you're with Collectors PSA. So both have had presences at the show for quite some time. And, you're an expo legend, buddy. But, Barry is also an expo legend. Barry has been working the COMC booth at the expo for, Barry, how long now? How many years have you been doing that?
Probably since 2012, the Fall Expo. Missing one show.
So Barry, may I ask a question? Barry, what was it like in the early days of COMC, and now that people have a better understanding of what all the services you guys offer? I'm really kind of curious how that's been.
It's been a journey. Definitely, I can say at the beginning when we're talking to people about consigning cards, the thought of people giving someone else your cards is basically something that they can't even fathom. And
Yeah.
now it's pretty much like this is pretty much everywhere now, where you can consign cards and have different platforms sell your cards. So that's pretty much the big change from the very begining.
Thank you for the question, Chris. You're I'll just sit back and let you.
Sorry. No, I mean, we all love Barry, and but I was just curious because COMC's become such an important part of the hobby, and it's nice to see people's understanding of all the services that help make collectors better at what they do.
And Barry's such a great representative for the brand, such a friendly guy. I remember, you used to wait for me. I'd have a submission for COMC on the Sunday, and you'd literally wait to pack up your stuff until I was ready to give it to you. I was always grateful for that. It's not just you, Barry. It's the COMC team. You guys are always so friendly there. What can you tell us about what you guys are offering? And Chris, I want to ask you about PSA next, so get that ready. But for you, Barry, what is COMC doing? Anything special, new specials, promotions? Tell us about what you're doing at the Expo here coming up.
In terms of promotions, we're offering 25% off processing for select and elite processing. We're there to accept submissions as normal. I think the one of the big things is that we're there as people representing the company. Like we're literally like an online store. So it's wonderful to be able to meet our customers and meet new people and let them know about COMC and how we can help support their collecting needs.
And how, because listen, I'm every show, Barry, we see each other, it seems like twice a month, but you, Miguel, who's usually set up at the booth with you, you guys are out there picking through dollar boxes, looking for cards for yourselves. Talk a little bit about your own collecting journey and how you as a collector, or even as someone who buys cards to move on COMC, how do you, what does the Expo mean to you that way?
It definitely drains a lot of money from my pocket. But for me, it's a bit of everything. So I go there and find cards that I can sort of invest or can sell later on in time, that I can reap some sort of profit. I love buying boxes and participating at the upper deck booth. Lots of other dealers have box specials as well, so I'll buy those. And as every show comes by, it becomes more and more apparent that it's meeting people. And that wasn't prevalent when I first started at the Expo. It was just like big show and all this sort of excitement. But now a large component is meeting up with the people and meeting new people. Not just for COMC, but in general.
I find you guys at the COMC booth, you're often giving away like some whether it's a box, like one of the 400 count boxes to customers, to vendors, so they can put cards and submit them to you, or you have toques or beanies, whatever we're calling them nowadays. I mean, is there anything that people can come by the booth to have a conversation, learn about the service, and maybe walk away with some sort of souvenir or anything like that?
Sure. For the second show, we brought back the big wheel. So if you have a COMC account, or you can register for a COMC account, you can spin the wheel for an instant prize. Anyone who has a COMC account will also be put into a draw to win up to $100 store credit. I'll just let everyone know now. Some of the boxes that we're giving out has Tim Getch has personally autographed them. So we can put the COA in there, just so that and it's also serial number too, and we also got parallels.
How many? I'm actually interested in this.
So Tim Getz being the founder of COMC, yes. So everybody knows for sure.
Yes. So a little Easter egg there for the folks who come by our booth.
Right on. Well, I'm as always, Barry. Can't wait to see you. Bro hugs all around. Hope you can make it to the Thursday night event at Jack Astor's. Stick around. I want to go over to Chris Carlin. But before we go to Chris, Mr. Steve Menzie, is there anything that you'd like to talk about when it comes to PSA at Expo?
Well, yeah, you were asking me earlier about why the Expo has grown, how it's grown, how is it better? And and you talked about me going to the national. So the very first national, and again, it's getting hard for me to say this every time I come on, but I'm not from the hobby. I'm not a collector. I have amassed some cards, sidebar, but the first national I was at, I'm walking in and I see this giant lineup, and I think, what the hell is that for? And I look at PSA, and I didn't even know what PSA was, but there and then it became a goal of mine to have PSA at the expo and doing on-site grading and slabbing, and thrilled that it happened last year, and equally thrilled that it's happening again this year. So that's and all that much better that Mr. Carlin is there and being our guy. So.
Well, not just me. You get Brad from PSA too.
Yeah.
So if I think
all the nice guys are going there.
Collectors know Brad really well, and he's just a fantastic person to work with for sure.
Yeah, Brad Hartland he's a gem of a man. You never hear anyone say anything bad about him. What a super nice. I love that guy. Chris, I'd like to hear your perspective. As I said earlier, you've been at the expo now for decades, and for many years you were the guy on the microphone at the upper deck booth, wrangling customers and fans and doing giveaways and all this. And now you've got a new hat on, you're with PSA, and you're going to be doing similar things at their booth. I want to hear how the expo experience has changed for you from when you were there for upper deck to now that you're there with PSA.
Yeah, that's so funny, Jeremy, because it's drastically different. I would often tell people who ask me that question, working with Upper Deck at the National or the Fall Expo is like being Ted Danson from Cheers, right? You're just boozing, having a great time, and working with PSA at these events is like being a bartender at college beer night, and it's like nonstop, like crazy, like just going nuts. So it's a lot. There's a lot more things going on. When the property is Upper Decks, I wouldn't say I'm careless, but I was making, I didn't feel anxiety about where are things going and how are we keeping them, because most of it was giveaways or things along those lines. But with PSA, when you're taking in someone's prized possession, when you're taking in something that it might be a $5 card, but it might be something that someone's father gave to them, or something really that has a lot of sentimental value. There's a huge responsibility to that. So there's a lot more work that goes into making sure that everything is safe and secure, that everything's processed in an expeditious fashion. But again, that we're making sure that nothing is happening to collectors' items throughout the entire process. And Steve, to your credit, I mean, there's only 2 shows in North America that PSA is doing on-site grading at. That is the National Sports Collectors Convention and the Fall Expo. And one of the reasons why is, man, it has been such a privilege actually to have joined this company right after Nat Turner took over, working with people like Ryan Hogue, PSA's president now, and seeing how they've scaled this business. It's not every day a company adds 2 new corporate headquarters. But that's something that PSA did last year. They added a corporate headquarters in New Jersey and in Tokyo, while still having the one in Orange County. And the way the company is scaling and the people that they've brought in, I mean, there's often times where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm the dumbest guy in the room, but at least I know stuff about cards and collectibles. But they are so smart with machinery that they're building. Like, there's literally machines we've built that didn't exist, but we knew what our needs were, and we brought in engineers and came up with ways to make sure that things are processed better and quicker. So that's one of the reasons why every show I go to, they ask, are you doing on-site grading? And one of the reasons why we can't do it at every show is because you have to take a lot of the talent out of the building in order to be able to do on-site grading. And with the talent that we have, it causes, if you were to do that every weekend, it causes backlogs and things like that, which we want to avoid. We want to make sure that we're never having a situation again like we had during the pandemic, which now seems like ancient history. But when I got here, it was I think it was 12 million cards when I started that there was a backlog on, and to be able to work through that and now make sure that there's no issues like that ever occurring again has been really incredible. But the most important thing the dealers ask me all the time is, Chris, I don't want to, and collectors as well, I don't want to put my stuff in the mail. Like, I just don't trust it. I don't want to deal with duties and customs and all that stuff. This is your time. This is an amazing time to come out, get your items graded at a very rational price, and get them back by the end of the show. If you're just in for the day, you can get it done by the end of the day in most cases. So, and same for memorabilia. We're bringing a lot of our best autograph authenticators. So one of my favorite things, I think it was 2 expos ago, working with PSA, there was a dealer who brought in a Jean Ferry autograph. And anyone know who Jean Ferry is?
No.
That is Andre the Giant's name when he was a Montreal wrestler for a few months. And he's actually signed Jean Ferry. So our authenticators were able to authenticate that signature, much to his delight, because he actually had a picture with him when he was a little boy. And then seeing him as a grown man, as a dealer, was just really cool. So there's so many of those stories at this show. There's so many times when people bring things where my jaw just literally drops to the ground. And it's special to see the looks on people's faces when they get it back. I mean, Jeremy, working in grading, like when it's a secondary pack opening experience in many ways for customers where they have this great item that they pulled. They're so excited about it. And then when they get it back, if it grades well, they're just jubilant. So it's a lot of fun seeing that happen.
I want to ask you this, Chris, because I don't know what goes into the decision making at PSA to come to Toronto to do on-site grading, but I have that your familiarity with the Toronto Expo, the people, the collectors there, the let's call it the Canadian collecting community. Did that come into play at all to help push maybe the decision makers over the edge to come and do it? Do you and Brad Hartland from PSA Canada have a conversation? Say, okay, let's go, gang up on the executives at collectors and make sure they come. Like, how do you make it? How does that happen? Do you have anything to do with it? I kind of hope you do, but if you don't,
I mean, the first thing I did when I got to PSA was like, wait, why are we doing this show? What are you guys doing? And just the importance of being there, and if for nothing else than to just engage with collectors and talk with them. So it's a very important show to us. To me personally, it was. I did tell everyone how important it is. Like, we have got to do this event, and then to actually see it happen and to see all the machinery up there and all the people, like I don't know. It felt really good, and it feels really good to do it again. Steve runs a first class event up there, and it's one of those few events where if it's not there, I'm not sure it exists. Very similar to the National, but I could spend all day going from booth to booth, looking around. Like, it's just an absolute blast. So
are you going to come to the Thursday night Jack Astor's, pop in, say hello?
Yes, absolutely.
Right on.
I am. I'm going to try to see the boss on Wednesday. So I think a few people are trying to do that too. But there's so much stuff going on. Like,
the boss?
Yeah. I think he's playing Wednesday night, right?
Interesting. I didn't know. Nice.
I know that. Well, Taylor's the week after, so you can stay and do the whole thing.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Because we're all Swifties here for sure. If we aren't, our kids are. That's for darn sure.
Yeah.
I know my daughter's 7.5, and she's a Swiftie. She tells me she Daddy, are you a Swiftie? She asks me.
Yes. We got a Halloween costume for ourselves.
Yeah.
Exactly. The evening events are all great. But I'll be honest. When I first started coming up, I was like, there's so many wild and crazy customers up here. The characters of the industry are so fun, and over the years, it's been really nice to call a lot of those people friends now. So it's a special community that we have up there for sure.
For sure. Barry, I want to ask you a similar question in terms of, like, COMC has been a fixture at many shows across North America. I go down to shows in the States, and I see you there at that, especially at the National, or I see other people from the US based team. But I think it's important for people to understand that COMC has a Canadian office in British Columbia, and that's where you work out of. And so, Chris was talking about taking the valuable possessions of collectors. And what have you found you sort of talked about it earlier, but what have you found with people and their just willingness to say, okay, here are my valuable sports cards, go have at them. And I'm also curious, like, will we be seeing you guys at the Expo forever? Is how important are the Canadian operations to COMC worldwide? So kind of 2 questions there, but please go ahead.
I'll answer the second question first because that's what I can remember what you said most recent. So,
My fault.
Canada is very important in the COMC landscape. I would say that we played an integral part in terms of having Upper Deck launch their EPAC program with us, where we're doing some fulfillment with them because we have such a large hockey-based population here. So having a Canada operations definitely helped. If there is ever big plans for expansion elsewhere to set up other operations in other countries, then Canada becomes a template that the headquarters can follow in terms of replicating other locations. Sorry,
go ahead. No, I was just going to kind of remind you of the first part of the question, but it seems like you got it.
Yes.
So it was just about customers' comfort handing over their cards to you to then be sold later on, and to go through the COMC intake process.
Generally speaking, the biggest determinant factor is we save people time, and it's as we get older, we know how valuable time really is, and the company motto is to bring joy to collectors, and we're essentially doing a lot of the work that sellers don't really particularly like, such as like imaging and selling and dealing with customer service and that sort of stuff. So we free people's time so that they can focus on other things. So it's almost like outsourcing the non-fun stuff so that they can pursue other things like finding more cards or enjoying collecting more, things like that.
And I know from talking to many people, whether it's in person at card show. I was even at the local card show here in Calgary today. I stopped by. We have 2 monthly shows here now, and I was just at one of the New Horizon Mall, and whether I'm talking to people there and DMs on Instagram or at the bigger card shows that I travel to, people always want to know. They want to know, is COMC going to be there taking in cards? Is PSA going to be there? Are they doing on-site grading? I hear people asking about other, even tag grading. Are they going to be there? And they're not going to be there this time, unfortunately, but they will be represented by Slab Sharks, who will be taking in submissions there. But my point is that I hear people always say, and I think the biggest one that people want to know if they're going to be there, especially if they're doing on-site grading, is PSA. So PSA, COMC, many of the some of the other big corporate presences are a huge part of it, obviously, and bring that value. I think, Steve, that's why you identified that pretty early on when you went to that first national. And how hard was it, Steve, if at all? I don't know, but what was it like to get PSA to come and do on-site and to continue? I believe they're doing on-site grading once every second Toronto Expo. Is that right? Because Toronto Expo is twice a year. So is the fall Expo sort of the commitment maybe moving forward, Chris and Steve? Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, that's our plan. Fall Expo, right after Upper Deck Series 1 launches, and you've got Young Guns, and you also have the other thing that's key about the Fall Expo is you have a lot of Upper Deck's more premium releases are coming out towards the end of the calendar year, so you've got an opportunity to slab some higher end, more premium cards. So We think that the fall is the right cadence for us right now, but at the same time, we believe a lot in Toronto. We believe a lot in Canada. We are moving our submission center from Nova Scotia to Toronto. So Brad's going to be running that, and there's going to be a lot of growth in Canada. It's going to be easier and easier and easier for people to submit items to PSA. We are doing more and more events. I have been traveling a lot with the company, and we're going to keep that up, because what we're finding is people just have a lot of anxiety about putting their stuff in the mail. So, and a lot of questions. I remember a very similar story to Steve's, where, seeing PSA at an event, you're like, I'm not going near that thing sometimes. And we've done a lot. We've really done a lot from a staffing perspective and line management and things along those lines to make sure that things funnel through quicker and easier. But more than anything, what I've tried to instill in our team is to take the time with people and educate them on what we do and why it's important. Because it can be, you see, I just don't know how to do this. I'm intimidated. Please don't be intimidated. Everyone on the screen right here are people who would take you under their wing and walk you through how to do certain things in the hobby. And really that's what we're there to do at PSA, is to try to educate and help people preserve their collectibles, which are so important to them. But Steve, sorry, I think I stole some thunder there.
No, not at all. And in fact, I would say, and I see all of the questions and comments that come in, whether it be from social emails, et cetera. And the biggest percentage have to do with the grading on site. And can I do this? How long is this? What's the price? So it's definitely top of mind for people. And, I know you alluded to it, Jeremy. I certainly don't think that I was influential in PSA making the decision to come, but I've certainly done everything in my power to make it, once they made that decision, to make it a good decision for them and to facilitate it, make it smoothly. So, and as Chris can attest, they bring up a small village, and quite a lot goes on behind the curtain. So
I'm sure, yeah,
it's
right on.
pretty exciting to see.
Good. No, I think it's exciting. I think it's important to a lot of people to have some of the biggest brands in the industry there, and also some selection, some assortment for different things, right? We're going to have, here's a question I want to ask you, Chris, before I forget. And, we're almost going to move on to the next half hour segment here, but I wanted to ask you, because one of the things I hear about the Expo a lot is that, people have this false assumption that it's all hockey, and it just is not all it's less hockey than ever. So you might be someone who can shed some light on, like, obviously you're getting a lot of hockey cards when you are set up there, and Barry at COMC, you're getting a lot of hockey cards submitted. But Chris, and then Barry, I'd like to hear from you, and then we're going to move on to the next segment. But Chris, we'll start with you. I don't want you to quantify unless you want to. Do you guys bring in basketball, football, baseball, soccer, wrestling, F1, all these things?
Absolutely.
And to what extent does it surprise you even?
Absolutely. No, we see everything at the Expo. Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, One Piece, wrestling, baseball, basketball, vintage. And if you go to a show in Canada, you'll frequently, and you go to one in the States, you'll see that in the States, maybe 60, 70% of the items and showcases are in slabs. In Canada, generally, it's about 20 to 30%. It's a lot less in many cases. And it shows me that there's a real need and desire for more grading and authentication up there. But no, people bring us everything, and it as a collector myself, it gets me in trouble, because frequently people will bring up things where I'm like, oh man, I didn't know that existed. Now I've got to go try to find this thing or that thing, and you go down all these fun rabbit holes. But no, definitely not just hockey. And if you collect other sports, it's a great place to get really good deals sometimes on the other sports. I go crazy collecting Padres cards up there, because there's not a lot of interest in them up there, and the prices are so rational. It's a great time to buy. So with the baseball season coming to an end for most teams, obviously you're probably not going to see many deals on Shohei or Aaron Judge items, but for everyone else, it's an incredible buying opportunity for sure.
Appreciate it, Chris. Barry, same question to you. Do you see non-hockey getting submitted in Canada at the Expo?
We do. Definitely we do. We see a little bit of everything. And quite a bit has to do with the individual and what they collected, what they picked up, and that's what funnels through us.
Right on. Okay, well, listen, guys, I want to thank you both for taking time, coming on, and sharing what you're offering, what your companies are offering at the Expo, and really just helping even me get more excited for the Expo. Chris, I always love seeing you, and I remember last time at Jack Astor's, I think we sat together, had a beer for a good 90 minutes, and it's just always a pleasure sitting down, and even you were so nice to my wife at Fanatics Fest, and it's just always great to see you, buddy. So thanks for joining. I look forward to seeing you in a week. And Barry, same to you guys. Thank you for coming on.
Appreciate you so much.
Thanks very much.
All right, guys.
Good night,
take care. Okay, we do have our next two guests joining us. They're in the back room. I see you there, James, and I see you there, Karthik. Give me 2 minutes. I want to address some comments from the chat, and then we're going to bring you guys on. Brett S. says a 20-hour flight to Toronto for the Expo seems worth it to me. He's from Australia. It will be worth it, Brett, if nothing more, so that I can meet you in person. Signed Slab says I'll be living in the Autograph Pavilion. That's good news for one of our next guests, the Professor. Good evening to you. As always, good to see you. Stamatis says, what a panel of beauties. Ralph, can't wait to see you, buddy. Dean Portman, what's going on, bud? Justin Bode, I'd love to be there. You better come out, but event, you got to get there. Justin, can't wait to see you. Bent Ding Cardboard says, I hear Jack Astor's VIP tickets are fetching $3,000 from scalpers. I wish, because I'd be the scalper in that. I'd be the one making all that money, but no, it is free to get in. Eric says, can I reserve 2 seats for Jack Astor's and place my order right now? Not yet. Mike Bracciali says, looking forward to another Expo. Everyone involved does a great job. That's very nice, Mike. Thank you for the comment. Yitz, good to see you as always. Jim says we need PSA grading on site in Vancouver at the Langley show. Take note, Steve. Chris is gone. KD Collectible says last year I did 200 Pokemon cards on site. And Justin says, I think it's a good time to buy hockey cards. Irish Flyers, Neil. Cannot wait for Expo. All right, guys. We're going to bring on our next two panelists, if you will. We're going to start. So we're going to start with Karthik. James, hang tight. Going to bring on very shortly. I promise you. Karthik Rajendran. eBay,
how's it going, guys?
Canada, head of collectibles. Welcome to Sports Cards Live. Welcome to the pre-expo. Let's get excited show. How are you doing, buddy?
Great. Thank you for having me. It's always great to see the enthusiasm. I've been following. I was watching the show for the last half hour or so, and just hearing some of the stories. Absolutely great, and really looking forward to the expo along with everyone else.
As am I. We're going to bring on James Spence the third as well. You ready to come? I'm bringing you on. Here we go. There he is. James
Hey,
Spence.
guys, what's going on? How are you?
We're doing well. Welcome to the show. I think we met years and years ago, but we didn't even get to really talk much besides some very quick emails. How are you? Welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you on.
No, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. And I was on the phone with Steve not too long ago, and I just randomly asked, I remember we were doing a few podcasts during COVID, and those were always fun. And I figured, you know what, why not with the recent acquisition with CCG? There's so many different great changes, great things we're working on. So I'd love to talk about those briefly. And we're doing some great things for this industry. So I figured you'd want to hear a little bit of what I had to say.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have a half hour together with you and Karthik, so I'm gonna kind of want to go back and forth here between both of you. I want to give you both an opportunity, but as you probably saw from the email I sent out and from the thumbnail for this episode, we got a lot of people. So but I think it's I think I've planned this pretty well, actually. I have like this sort of a schedule here of everybody when they're coming on, so I can manage this, but I want to give everybody a good opportunity to talk, especially if you're with an organization like you both are. Karthik, obviously, with the behemoth eBay. James, you're with your family company, JSA Authentication. And I want to give you both a chance to talk about things. So we're going to go back to you, Karthik, now. And, eBay has been a title sponsor of the Expo, I believe, for quite some time. And if that's not the right terminology, calling it a title sponsor, I apologize, Steve. But eBay's a big presence at the Expos. Karthik, how important is the Expo to eBay Canada in terms of reaching your target audience?
It's immensely important. I mean, this is the place where all the enthusiasts really just come together, and we like to think we play a big part and do our part in really trying to connect enthusiasts, collectors, anyone that's really passionate about the sport. And for us to be right there, right in the thick of things, hearing stories, trying to create memorable moments is really a privilege, and we're honored to be a part of that.
Well, James, I'm going to ask you the same question. I mean, I've seen JSA representation at Expo before. I've seen you guys all over the place. Going back to probably 2008, I think I had dinner with your father at one night after the Chicago National. I don't know. I don't even know if you were in the business at the time. I'm talking. How long have you been a part of JSA?
So I started with my dad as soon as he launched JSA back in May 2005. I joined January of 2007, right out of college. I went to school for marketing and finance, and then I just realized, the opportunity that my father was creating after he left our competitor PSA DNA. And he was in Orgersburg, Pennsylvania, a very small town in eastern Pennsylvania, and I helped him build JSA to where it is now. And a lot of traveling, a lot of finding great authenticators all over the country, visiting cities all throughout the world. I mean, I just got back from Dubai and Kuwait. I'm going to China next week. So unfortunately, I'm going to miss your big show, but we're sending some great people there, Russ included. And but no, it's been in my blood to do this. My whole life, I used to go to card shows as an infant, actually. And my father used to set up at the old Gloria Rothstein shows and in White Plains, New York. And I, as a fourth generation autograph collector, I think it was my destiny.
Yeah, it's in your blood. There's no doubt about that for sure. And tell the people listening and watching, because this is going to be on podcast, not just right now, and it'll live on here. This is hopefully somewhat content that will last a long time. But James, tell us a little bit about what you guys are going to be offering at the Expo. And Karthik, I'm going to ask you that same question next. So go back, start with you, James.
Yeah, cool. So I don't know if everybody knows, but back in April of 2024, we were acquired by CCG, and they are a conglomerate. They have CGC Comics, they have CGC cards. They also do coins, stamps, currency, you name it, video games, and all of that will be accepted. All of the different verticals will be accepted next to the JSA booth. And we're going to be offering our on-site authentication as always. So you could bring autographs from home. It doesn't have to be just signed at the show. It could be autographs that you've had for your whole lifetime, or somebody, passed them along to you. So, if you have that Lord Stanley autograph that you're wondering if it's real, you swing by the JSA booth and you find out. So we have a team of authenticators there. We're performing on-site authentication along with our team of CGC, where they're going to be accepting cards for encapsulation and all the different verticals. I mean, you could bring coins there too, comics. So it's not just towards sports. And I noticed within the last meeting, a lot of what we're seeing now is not just hockey. I mean, I would say it's about 50% hockey submissions. But I was just talking to one of our authenticators that goes to your show religiously, and now it's about 30% entertainment and 10% soccer. So it's very interesting. It's good information to know.
How important is the Expo to JSA? And I mean, now that you're part of CCG, and I always get these acts, I apologize. CCG, correct?
Nope. That's the parent company.
Yeah,
so
that's
the big company that has us all, and we're an acronym now. So I know it gets very confusing with all these acronyms. It's alphabet soup.
How important is the Sport Card Expo in the Canadian market to your company, to JSA, and to the parent conglomerate?
Oh, it's very important. In fact, I envision us opening an office in Toronto at some point. I mean, we're opening an office in Dubai. We have an office in Hong Kong, Shanghai. I see a huge opportunity. I've been up there. I've been to British Columbia. I've been to Toronto, Mississauga, and I've seen how passionate collectors are, just like myself, and their desire for authentication. I mean, nobody wants something that's fake in their collection, but we all have it. I have pieces that I can't, I bought a long time ago, and then I found out the hard way. So it's very necessary. We spend a lot of money in this industry, and authentication is beyond important. So that's our ultimate goal is to operate out of Toronto, because I know how hard it is to get up there and do business. It's just a matter of finding good people and opening up shop in the largest city there.
Well, I'm glad to hear that it's an important market. We are proud Canadians. The Canadians are, and we often might feel like a bit of an underdog compared to the United States, which is a behemoth country, obviously on the worldwide stage. And but we are so closely related. We are obviously separated by a border, and I think it is the largest unprotected border in the world. I think that's something both countries can be proud of, that we get along so well. And it's nice to see us doing business with each other, even though it isn't that easy at times. So when a company like you makes the effort to come across the border, I know for sure Steve and Mikey appreciate it, as they want to bring the best names in the business up here, and you guys help lend to that. But to the customers, the collectors like myself, we are grateful for your investment in that journey up to Canada across the border. So thank you for doing that. And it's nice to have some options when it comes to authenticate. We just had Chris Carlin from PSA, a competitor of yours. Now we have you. That's the beauty of this show and the community. We can be friendly competitors. I really feel that way. And just, everyone work hard, but play hard, compete hard, but play nicely, compete nicely. Hopefully, I'm not going to tell you how to do your business, but that's a beautiful thing. We can all coexist in this space. Do you agree, James?
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah, you need competition in business. Otherwise, you get complacent. You need somebody to be, at the same wavelength. And PSA and Collectors Universe, it's now head to head with us, Certified Collectibles Group and Collectors Universe. I mean, they found the greatest autograph authentication company in the planet, and now we're trying to compete with their card grading service, and they do a wonderful job. But we're ready to compete there and all the different other verticals, and it's good to have a choice. For collectors, there's Pepsi and there's Coke. People should be able to choose who they want to certify their collectibles.
I agree. Thank you, James. We're gonna go over to Karthik. You guys, again, stick around. We got another 17 minutes or so with you too, and we'll keep the conversation going. Karthik, I want to go back to you now. I want you to tell everybody what eBay is what sort of experiences and whatever else, because eBay isn't there selling merchandise or a authentication service. You are there. You are obviously a humongous selling platform. What is eBay doing at the expo? What are the experiences? What would you like people to know?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. We're not there to be transactional at all. I think our presence there is really about being connected and connecting people. And I think we do a great job of that. The show and our presence there, I mean, from what it was when I remember growing up, it was a room full of enthusiasts, and it's evolved over time. And Steve and Mikey and the team have done a great job to bring it to where it is today. It's about experience and getting people really to feel that passion and excitement in the room. And I think that's what we're trying to do this year. Hockey, obviously, very important to Canada, and you called us the underdogs. We're not the underdogs in hockey. I mean, we're absolutely not. And I think we want to play into that a little bit more as eBay. And obviously, hockey cards, super important to the show. I'm obviously a baseball collector. I was just reading that the Yankees lost, so boo. But you know what?
In a big way.
It's okay. What's that?
I was just thanking Mark Santucci for the update on the baseball game tonight. Thank you, Mark.
Timing couldn't have been worse, but hey, we'll take the news. I'm gonna have to catch up on the updates. But yeah, more into experience. We really want to make sure we're offering up those experiences. And me personally, I love just being there, listening to the stories, seeing the excitement around us. We're going to be doing an eBay break party for the kids, but also for the big kids. You'll see a lot of that coming up. Giveaways, of course, but also we'll be bringing some talent on stage. I won't say any names just yet on who we're going to be bringing on, and again, just to get people connected. One thing I think that we're doing this year that we haven't done really in the past also is try and showcase our partners in the hobby. So that being obviously our sellers, we work really closely with Slab Sharks, Dollies, Mintink, and we really want to show that we are a group of partners. We're helping each other grow the hobby and do what we can for the hobby. So we're definitely going to come across big that way. But then also our bigger partners, our corporate partners. So we'll be there with PSA, Golden, again, just to do something a little bit different, just to show up in a different way, but again, build connections in the hobby. That's the main thing we're there for.
Right on. Well, I mean, you got I gotta say, I was just at the Montreal Expo a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago now, and you guys, your team that was there, you have the eBay colored balloons, and you put them on every table, and it does two things. Number one, it's the eBay color, so it's good for your branding, but it really colors up the room. Mikey, I want to ask you, like, I don't know whose idea was that, but it seems, Mikey's great at those kind of things. Mikey, how happy are you with that little detail that I'll tell you, as a vendor at the show, and I consider myself a vendor and an attendee when I'm at these things, because, I can't help but buy cards all the time. Like little things like that, Mikey, how much do you like that? And how important is it to the Expo to have eBay Canada there? And I leave something for Steve, so I want him to talk about it too. Then we're going to ask the same question about JSA.
So a couple things with eBay. It's been amazing to see them develop at the show. So when eBay first started, they came in pretty last minute. This was just before the pandemic, and they had a 2-booth presence there, and they were really just talking to people and sort of getting their feet wet about what they were going to do at the show. Now eBay is one of the biggest vendors at the event. They have a multifaceted booth. Karthik talked about the stage. There's sports card trivia. There's an auction. There's an auction going live throughout the show where people can bid. There's tons of items happening during the booth. There's a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes for the vendors, really taking care of what pushes the community, which is really all the people who are there retailing at the show, as well as the fans. But so really doing a lot there. And then also we saw them when the show went to online during the pandemic. That's when eBay really stepped up and became the presenting sponsor. And it's been that relationship build and what that's become, and adding so much to the show. So it's been awesome. And then to the balloons specifically, honestly, I can't take credit from it. There were smarter people who came up with it, but it adds so much texture to the show. Obviously, cards are flat, tables are flat, showcases are flat, balloons are 3D. So it added a lot to the show. And then inside the balloons were hidden prizes. So on the Sunday, we had everyone pop the balloons at once. We've got some great pictures of the vendors, just the biggest smile, like they're like a 10-year-old kid looking for that prize in there. So it was, again, just a really good time and a lot of fun, and just adding to the whole experience.
All right. Steve, what about you? I mean, eBay's obviously an industry behemoth, and JSA just recently acquired, as James let us know. And it's not like we just heard this for the first time. I've known about this for a while, since it was announced, actually, because I got my ear to the ground, James. I know what's going on in the industry for the most part. But Steve, tell us a little bit about the importance of having eBay as such an important part of the show, and the presence there, and just the evolution of their activation within.
Yeah, same. So I'll start with the balloons. The balloons.
Sorry about the balloons, everybody, but
no, it's okay, because I'm actually kind of a tree hugger on my when I'm not at the car shows, and like, balloons. You kidding me? It's going to be, but it's also, balloons technically aren't allowed in a lot of these venues, because I don't know if you know how expensive they are to take down when they fly up, but Uppers Deck has been doing it for years, and they always kind of budget a little bit of money to take it down. But in Edmonton, it was amazing to me how much the color just popped and how much life it added to the show. And so, but yeah, anyway, and this is actually something I try and do with all of our partners. We try and do with all of our partners is figure out something that they can kind of own and just how can they activate in a way that's relevant to their own brand and adds value to the show. Yeah, obviously they're an important part of the profitability of a show and the size and the growth and the awareness. But to me, a good marketing company finds something that they can have IP in, if not IP, but at least have some equity in taking care of. So both brands, I'm really fortunate to have both of these guys and their companies in front of us and as partners. JSA is another company, and James, you missed the conversation earlier about what not being from the hobby. The first time I kind of found out about PSA and who they were, and similarly with JSA, I'm thinking really people pay to have this stuff looked at, and so it's obviously now I have an appreciation for how important these things are in the space. And again, I mentioned earlier, grading is one of the things I get the most questions about, and authentication is not far off after. And so I know that JSA has been a long time partner in this space. So yeah, I wouldn't want to do these shows without these partners. eBay has been tremendous in helping us get the growth and to really again to really take the show to the next level. These shows are not, they're not leading edge in a lot of ways. What I do is, I won't say it's not difficult, but I'm not splitting the atom here by any means. And so
selling yourself short, Steve.
Well, somewhere between. But it's nice to add professionalism. It's nice to kind of take things next level, and a lot of the learnings there. So,
yeah, it's funny. You said you couldn't even believe that people pay to have these things looked at, yet. When people ask me a lot of questions about different areas of the hobby all the time, like will JSA, is JSA going to be, they're asking me, is JSA going to be at the expo? It's like, I haven't seen the floor plan yet. I don't know if they're going to be there yet, but I'll send you a text, Steve. I'll say, is JSA coming to the expo? You'll say, I should know by tomorrow, or yes, they are, or, that kind of thing, whether it's JSA or anybody else. I hear about it, but so many people wait for the expo to come around, or whatever show it is that has an authenticator present, because they're collecting autos all year, and now they come because they know that they want to go to JSA, who is at the top of the peak of the mountain when it comes to reputation as far as authentication goes. And that's my perception, my perspective. I know a lot of people have different opinions on everything in this hobby, but from my perspective, JSA has been very well respected for a very long time. And I think part of that, and James, I'm curious, what I've heard is that you guys own the biggest library or database of exemplars that exists. Is that true? Tell us a little bit about your exemplar library, what that is even, and what it means to the business and like the IP and everything.
Oh yeah, no, it's our most important, most valuable tool when we authenticate signatures. You need comparison when you're authenticating an autograph. I mean, there's all the elementary forgeries that came out from the Marino family, back in the 90s with Operation Bullpen. And a lot of our authenticators can memorize those style forgeries because it's the exact same style each and every time. But, when you're looking at, a hockey stick from the 70s and, a Leafs hockey stick, and you're trying to determine if, all the signatures are authentic, you have to go towards, that particular era and pick apart, did this person have this style, or was this F as big as, the last name of the signature? So, the exemplar file is beyond important to what we do. It's all in chronological order. You can pick any name out of a hat, anybody famous, infamous. We've kept the exemplar file. We continue to build that exemplar file. So it's a never-ending project. It started with my father back before the PSA days, but when he was actually selling autographs, he started accumulating exemplars, and he used a Xerox machine because there weren't computers back in the the early 90s that were able to equip all these different files. So he literally walked around with like copies of Babe Ruth's signature, you know, from the 20s all the way until his death in 1948. And when people would come up to him asking him whether or not a signature had a shot or whether Roberto Clemente was real, he would literally like thumb through pages of Roberto Clemente's autograph, just because it wasn't as convenient to have it on a computer. But now we're at 1 million exemplars and growing. And that continues to grow everywhere we go. I mean, we're seeing all different types of anime, Japanese voice actors. That's becoming very popular, especially in the Middle East. I mean, it's 90% of what we authenticate are all signed Funko Pops. You don't see any hockey players out there. You see a few soccer players, but it's you know, we have to keep up with whoever is super valuable. You know, that those are the ones that are very prone to forgery. So you know, it's important to keep a massive exemplar database on those particular individuals. And yeah, it is the biggest exemplar file out there. We don't know of any other one. And again, it's our most valuable tool. And you know, I put it next to, you know, my magnification loop. I mean, that is one tool I am on all the time, double checking autographs.
And the exemplar. I got to ask this. I'm just so curious, and I don't know if you'll answer, but I'm going to ask anyway. When you guys were acquired by CCG, what percentage of that purchase price was allocated to the exemplar file?
Yeah, no, that right there has a hefty price on it. I'm not exactly sure how to quantify that, but it's my father always calls it. My father has 3 sons, including myself. He calls the exemplar file his 4th child.
Yeah, well, he birthed it, right? I mean, that's and he raised it and he curated, he took care of it. So that's just awesome. All right, well, listen, I mean, it's been great to have both of you on. I want to give you both an opportunity to just say any final words, any final message you'd like to send to this audience, people listening later on, even after the expo, before the next expo, and anything you'd like to pass on. So we'll keep going with you, James, then we'll let you head out, and then we'll finish with you, Karthik. But James, any sort of final comments about expo and your offering or anything else?
I just wanted to mention that we are cashless now. I know that that's kind of a bummer for certain people, but I figured I'd give you guys a heads up. You know, you can only use a credit card, a debit card at the JSA booth. But we look forward to seeing you guys. We don't miss this show. I mean, we're at every single Toronto show since I can think of, you know, back in 2008 or 2009. We haven't missed one. So we really enjoy coming up there, talking to the collectors, seeing some incredible pieces. And if you guys have any questions, just reach out to us through social media or shoot us an email or give us a call.
Thanks, James. And James, when I see you in Chicago at the National, since you are not coming to Expo, I'll come by and we'll shake hands and say hello in person. So thank you for joining us tonight, James. Appreciate you coming, and all the best to the team in Toronto a couple weekends from now.
Thank you so much. Yes, please swing by.
All right, man. Sounds good. Karthik, back to you. And any final message you'd like to send out? Same thing to you. And listen, you and I, we got to kind of spend some time together at the Edmonton show, and it was, it's great to see you. I mean, guys, if you haven't met Karthik in person, which many of you will have not yet, you got to go see this guy. He's one of the nicest dudes I've met. And you're there looking around showcases. I mean, you like to look around and do some window shopping yourself. So when you see him, you may not think he's a guy from eBay, but he is. Say hello. But with that said, Karthik, I want to give you a chance now to give your final words.
Yeah, well, I like to think we're all a bunch of romantics, the people in the hobby, and it's the stories, the emotion, the passion that really connects us. And I think everyone on the team, I'll be there every single day on the floor. And like you said, I'll be there talking to sellers, visiting booths, shopping. But absolutely hearing the stories, come by the booth, take part in a lot of the activations and the experiences. We love to hear the stories, good, bad, whatever it is. And yeah, don't shy away from us and look out for us. We'll be on there.
Right on. Before you guys go, I just want to read some of the comments that have come in the chat before we go to the next segment. And because they're, especially you, James, because I see some about you. So first of all, we have producer Louis in the chat. Good evening. He's the producer on the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. Joe Perot says, wow, the James Spence brand and verification has such a great reputation. Thanks for being here, James. And Karthik, too. Very nice, Joe Perot. Justin Bode says, we have the Canadians back all the way. He's in the United States. Thank you, Justin Bowden. Thanks again to Mark Santucci for, too bad for the Yankees fans, but for updating us on the score in the baseball game. Justin Bowden says, look, I have your back all day long, Mr. Jeremy. I'm grateful for that, Justin, for sure. I like Neil puts up the balloons. Bobby Burrell says, is it even worth going to the Toronto Sports Card Expo? Spoiler, hell yeah. And Bobby is an icon in the hobby and someone who I always look forward to seeing there. And he's been going to the expo longer than I have. Jeff McMahon says JSA is top notch. Mark Santucci says Bobby Orr is super valuable. Producer Louis says, even if you're not planning on purchasing anything, seeing all of the relic hockey cards that you don't see very often or ever is worth the price of admission. It is a museum, to which Neil says that is fact. That's the end of the comments, guys. James, Karthik, thank you guys for coming on. James, we'll see you in Chicago. Karthik, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, guys. That was fun.
Soon.
Appreciate you guys. Well, what do you think, Mikey, Steve? It's fun to have these guys on, hey?
Yeah. Did you see the JSA booth at the National?
Yes, I did.
It was pretty cool. And I talked to James too there, and he was telling me the story. It was quite the history of the company and some of the collectibles that he himself had. It was pretty awesome. So yeah, and that's one of the great trends of the hobby is just some of these the acquisitions and growth and the integration of this. It's and one thing they didn't talk about was their new signature series that CGC is doing, and I think I'm pretty good now with the acronyms actually. So I wasn't disappointed.
Still back in the green room. He's getting a check. Hold on, James. Hold on. We can't hear you. I see you're still there. What were you saying?
No, I'm still here if you guys want me back on. But no, there was just so much more to talk about, and with CCG's acquisition, where we have some fantastic slabs. Finally, you're able to get your signed cards encapsulated, and the slab looks fantastic. So that's exciting stuff. We're not going to be doing on-site encapsulation at your show, but that's something that we want to look forward to doing. And that's why I included Jennifer Mills in that call with you guys last time. And, we want to work towards that because that's going to really blow away. I mean, is there anybody that does on-site encapsulation at the Toronto show?
Yeah. Actually, PSA and Beckett both do.
Okay.
Yeah, and the two Canadian companies, M&T and KSA.
Got it.
We actually have four companies that are doing that on site. But
But it would be great to have you there as well, right? And as you said, the new slab is beautiful. It's been great to see the company from when they got into the sports card market. We talk about it, transformation, innovation, and growth. They've done a really good job, and obviously adding you to the fold is just another feather in the cap. So it's really nice to see the hobby overall getting more investment, sort of growing up, and it's showing inside all of these shows, specifically the National and Sport Card Expo.
All right, guys, we got two guys waiting to come in, so we're gonna James.
Guys, thank you so much.
Say your last piece.
I'll see you guys. Bye bye.
It's like we're speed dating right now. This is the most speed dating show of Sports Card Live.
Well, I'm looking forward to Johnny coming in because I won't need a coffee now with him coming on.
Yeah,
I don't know. Johnny Amendola from Mintink is gonna try. He's at a Halloween party tonight. He's gonna try to come in. He let me know earlier. But we do have the host from the podcast that has taken the hockey world by storm.
Yeah.
I see him getting ready back there.
Yeah.
We have none other than Mr. Joshua Madigan from the Hockey Cards Gong Show joining us now. Young Mr. Madigan, how are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing awesome. I'm thinking a lot about balloons right now. And that was one thing we did not have on our expo list. And so I'm frantically searching how to get balloons made.
Yeah, as you should, because balloons are where it's at. If you want to learn anything from eBay, it's that balloons are where the marketing budget needs to go. Josh, good to have you. Obviously, you and I spend a lot of time doing content together. We do 3 shows a month for the Fanatics Collect brand, and it's good to have you here, buddy. And really, I want to bring you on because I want to give you an opportunity to talk about how the Hockey Cards Gongshow, just the brand of it has really blown up recently, but your presence at the expo kind of took a turn at the spring expo when you kind of did something for fun one night, and it turned into something now that you're going to kind of look to make a tradition. Let the audience know, if they don't already know, what it is that they can expect from the Hockey Cards Gongshow at the expo and after hours and online.
Yeah, so we've been I think this will be our 5th expo now. And up until this point, we've just been bystanders, just walking around, bugging Mikey, bugging you, hanging out at your booth. And you're really getting to meet people and see cards that as Americans, we never get to see, have never seen in our life. So I mean, that's like, you guys are so spoiled from that respect. And since last year, as our show's grown, we started renting a house that I call the Chateau Gongshow. And we've had, a bunch of us, our hobby friends, stay there. And at the Spring Expo on Saturday night, we were all pretty tired, and we thought, well, let's just have friends night at the Chateau. And we all bought a bunch of boxes at the show. And there's this huge island at this house, and we all sat around and opened up boxes all night and just had the best time. But honestly, it was the funnest night I've ever had in this hobby was that night. And at some point, somebody took out their phone and started videotaping it, and the videos got online, and people started asking, well, where are you guys? What are you doing? How do we get there? And that kind of planted the seed for me. We knew we wanted to try an event at the expo, but we're a dopey hockey cards podcast. We're not eBay or Mintink or Slab Sharks, and we're not going to compete. I don't want to be like the 4th-rate trade night, like in the basement of a Holiday Inn with like 6 people on Saturday night. And so, we kind of took this experience at the Chateau, and we were like, one of the things we also have heard a lot, especially on the American side, is there's a lot of expo FOMO. It's not, I wouldn't say it's super difficult to get to Toronto, but it's a little more of a process when, you have to have a passport, and depending on where you're coming from, there's an expense to it. And we thought, well, what if we tried to recreate that experience of our friends night, of being together, opening cards, having a great time, and creating because everything we do is weird, is do an event for people that aren't there, and that have that FOMO, that wish that they could have been at Toronto. And that's when the idea of Rip Party really came about. And so we're going to live stream. We have 25 people, which is a maximum we can have at that house, that are coming and bringing boxes. And we have a whole bunch of cameras. We're going to have rip stations, and we're going to be ripping boxes. And people responded to it. But what's really taken a life of its own and is beyond humbling to me, and I don't even believe it, what's happening, is we got the idea, and actually Johnny Amendola, who's a big supporter of ours, and Mintink, who's a big supporter, we wanted to do giveaways. And he had the idea of, well, what if we give you guys a bunch of boxes, and we'll pick winners from the chat, people that aren't there, and we'll open boxes for them at Rip Party and send them the hits. And since we kind of announced that, it's been, you guys, I don't even know how to explain it. Every single day we're getting, and it's not just companies that are donating boxes. People are reaching out to us. We've had individual collectors that have donated boxes of the Cup or 2016-17 Series 1 with the Austin Matthews Young Guns. And it's gotten to the point, and this is a beautiful problem, and I'm humbled and blessed, and I don't believe it. But we're talking about, we think we might literally have to be up all night opening boxes on live stream for people that have donated them to give away to other collectors. And so for us, Rip Party, and I just love it because it's a way for us to say thank you to the hobby that's embraced us, a little show from Minnesota, and there's no financial benefit for us to do this. It's just a really, bring people together, make people feel more connected, and to, our goal is to have one of the biggest giveaways ever in the hobby history at Rip Party.
Well, you guys have done a great job of building a community, first of all. And obviously your founding partner, Troy Iverson, is no longer a partner, I guess, or no longer one of the main hosts. He's got life commitments, coaching, kids, and all that. So he's still involved, but he's not. So, you guys, but Troy yourself did a great job of building your community, and I'm proud to be a part of it. It's grateful to be friends. I was at the house party last year. I think I came in pretty late there, and but I had a great time, and I'm glad I did. I will be at Rip Party this year on Friday night. I'm looking forward to that and being a part of it for sure. Now we got to pause, and Billy Celio from Upper Deck, he's in the back. Billy, I see you. I'm going to bring you on. Yeah, you're good to go. Billy is currently driving a car.
All right.
How are you, Billy?
Hey, doing great, guys.
Expo?
I was on my mission. I told Jeremy I might be running after a few celebrities. I just got Angelina Jolie, and I'm driving down Hollywood Boulevard right now, getting ready to go home. Some guy has a lot of bass in his Tahoe next to me. You can probably hear it, but
okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask
it's not as loud as the Upper Deck booth's going to be at the Expo. That's all I got to say.
That's for sure. Listen, you're going to be at the Expo. Billy is a brand manager at Upper Deck. He gets to build several of the sets that we all look forward to every year. Billy, what are you looking forward to about Expo this year?
Expo is like where I see my people. It's great. It's the largest hockey card show. I've been to plenty of shows in the U.S. and they're great and they're run very well and I enjoy them, but I don't get to see a lot of hockey. And so when hockey is 75% of what's out there, I really get to talk to the people and kind of see what they like, what they don't like, what's selling, what's not selling, price points, all that sort of stuff. And I love talking to people. And it's funny because I know a lot of the shops and stuff, but there's still always a few vendors I don't know. And so I actually am not working the booth. I'm with the product development team. So I walk around and I kind of will go through people's cards because guess what? The best way to get someone to talk to you is to start going through their cards. And I have a great time. I always spend a little bit of extra time over by you and Ameet's booth and Kent, and you guys are always a great company. But it's my favorite show of the year. I would rather go to this show than the National, to be completely honest with you. And I do go to this show more than I go to the National. And it's just a well-run product, and as I said, it's our target audience.
Well, you say you love to come by visiting mine and Ameet's booth and Kent's, but that might just be because we are usually so close to the Upper Deck booth, so we're nice and convenient for you. But it's always good to see you, Billy. You're one of the guys from the industry who gets out there into the community and talks to the collectors. You have your ear to the ground, and you try to integrate what you learn into products to satisfy collectors. I think we're all. I won't speak for everybody, but I'm grateful for that. I think many people are. And I certainly don't want you to have a car accident or anything like that. I hope that we're not causing you any distraction here, but I'm glad you popped in nonetheless. And looking forward to seeing you. Are you going to be coming by the Jack Astor's event, the networking event that I host on Thursday night, of which you guys at Upper Deck are going to be sponsoring the appetizers? Are you going to be coming by?
So I will actually try to get there a little earlier. So if people want to start early, I'll probably try to get there a little earlier because I usually have a couple dinners and stuff I go to, but I always make sure I stop by the Sports Card Live party and get to talk to as many people as I can, because now it's like they don't have a bunch of cards that they're trying to sell you. It's like, hey, all right, I just had a long, hard day. Let's sit back and relax and eat all these amazing chicken tenders that Jack Astor's and Upper Deck provided for us to eat.
Right on. Well, listen, Bill, I think
get the chicken tenders.
The chick, yeah. Well, it's someone put it in right here. Neil says, "Can't wait to eat some upper deck chicken fingers at the event." So, right on. All right, Billy, we have Karn Rai from Slab Sharks in the background. We're going to bring him up in a minute, but Billy, I want to thank you for coming on. We'll see you in a couple weeks in Toronto as always, but you already got Angelina Jolie tonight. Go find someone else. Look at him.
I'll show. Can you see it? There it is.
Yeah.
There's the signature right there.
Congrats.
Hey, real quick, let me get my plug in. We've got the Rapper Redemption at the Expo as always, and it's Series 1 that just came out. It's Metal Universe 23-24 that just came out. There's credentials. There's I'm not sure if SPA is on there or not, but I know SPA is going to be coming out in time for the Expo. So there's a lot of great Upper Deck products on the Rapper Redemption program this year. And I know a lot of people are really excited about SPA coming out and the bounty. So maybe you guys can find some friends to work with at trade nights and get that bounty collected. But thanks, Jeremy, for having me on. Good to see this beautiful group of people, except Josh. And I will talk to you guys later.
We'll see you in a couple weeks, buddy.
Who are you?
Yeah. Okay. Very nice way for him to go out. Hey, Josh, you get one shot in there. I think you gotta pass on that when you see him. Okay, let's do this.
Before you bring Karn on, just one note about Upper Decks. You know, I think it's been alluded a couple times about how big a presence Upper Deck has at the show and what they really do. Upper Deck is one of the few double-decker activations I've ever seen in a consumer show. So it's not often happen. That's the kind of like their investment into the event and how much they appreciate the fans. And then the giveaways. There are thousands of people standing around that upper deck, watching and waiting to win stuff. And the energy is palpable. Like you feel it. It's racing through the crowd during each one of those raffles. So it's really cool to see. And obviously last year was something special with the Series 2 release and watching people just plow through those hobby boxes looking for the Bedard.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that energy, that volume, trust me, with my booth in such close proximity to Upper Deck's booth, I can hear it. I'm talking to somebody, we're negotiating a deal. It's like, wait a minute, I can't hear you. Hold on, let's wait for them to finish and then we'll continue. But it brings a great energy to the room. I think it just adds so much personality to the Expo. And let's face it, we want that at the show. Okay, let's bring Karn on. Karn Rai from Slab Sharks. Welcome to the show, buddy. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I made it. I told you I was a game time decision, but I snuck in here, so I'm happy to be here. Nice to see you guys.
It's good to have you, man. I mean, listen, you're making moves in the hobby. Slab Sharks is a brand that has really taken hold of things in Canada as far as providing liquidity to collectors, to dealers. You have a great partnership with eBay. You have a partnership with me. I'm proud to be director in Alberta. And even, it's funny. I was at the local monthly card show today and I went to pick up a submission from somebody and I ended up having people walking up to me and saying, "Hey, I heard you're with Slab Sharks." And I'm like, "Yeah, how can I help you?" It's like, "Oh," and he pulls out a Connor Bedard Outburst Young Gun. And he says, "What do you think?" So, the brand has really done a great job. You guys have done a great job of getting the brand name out there. You're working with the Gongshow. We got Josh right down over there. You're working with some of the best people in the industry. You've got a great activation at the Expo. Tell us a little bit about what you have going on, what Slab Sharks is offering in 2 weeks from now at the Toronto Expo.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a great one, and we're always excited for the Toronto Expo. It's my first show. I always say it was when I was 10 years old, the first Expo I ever went to, and so it's always this like nostalgic, fond memory for me going to a sports card expo. And Steve and Mikey have done such a great job, and this year finally Slab Sharks has, got a little side money to pay Mikey to build my booth for me this year. So that's going to be a little easier. Typically I'm there, working my butt off with the team, kind of building it ourselves. And this year we're like, we can't do it. So that's a nice addition. We might be less tired this year on the first day of the show. But yeah, I think we're expanding a little bit this year. Typically we have like a 20 by 20 foot booth. This year we're going with 40 by 20. And the nice addition is what we're calling the Slab Shark studio with the hockey card Gongshow guys here. So that's going to be fun. It's going to be kind of a live activation where the hockey card Gongshow guys are going to be doing a live podcast right in our booth there. And then there's going to be a PA system. There's going to be a nice couch, coffee table. You'll be able to kind of watch them do their thing. It's going to be exciting. And then in terms of the consignment front, same as usual. We're going to be there providing cash advances for high-end cards and also taking in whatever consignments anyone may have. And this year is the first year our app is kind of like fully functional. So it'll be exciting for, people to see how it all works and how our process works. And same as usual as well, cards get submitted during the weekend. They go up that same week. And it's a crazy whirlwind of kind of operation tasks that we do after the expo. It's literally 2 to 3 days of 15, 16 hours, titling, listing, scanning, shipping. It's wild, but we get it done, and we're so excited to be there.
Right on. I'm excited. I hope that you and the team are going to be able to make it out to Jack Astor's on Thursday night, especially if you're not as tired as you would have been. And I remember you guys coming by your booth last time, and I remember even at one point you're like, hey Jeremy, can you hold this screen up while we anchor it down? Hey, happy to help out for a few, happy to, let me do some manual labor here for you guys, But I hope you guys will be able to make it out. And listen, I had a great time with you guys just 2 weekends ago at the Van City show. Looking forward to seeing the whole team. I know you guys have a great team. Your five partners, and you guys are all buddies. Like, I felt like I've known Karn, we go back now. And I think you and I have a great relationship. We go back 5 years easily now. And it was really wonderful for me to get to know the other guys better. So I was grateful for that. I love the team you have there. And I'm proud to be a part of it. Representing Alberta, you've got directors in each of the main markets in Canada, if not all of them. Even in all of them, you've got BC, you've got me in the prairies, you've got Ontario, Quebec, and Eastern, Sylvan out in Eastern Canada. You've done a great job with that. So I don't know. I mean, it's really exciting what you're doing. And, I want to ask Mikey and Steve guys, having Slab Sharks at the Expo and the Gongshow now together, we got the Slab Sharks studio with the Gongshow doing the podcast there. Mikey, I'll start with you on this one. How excited are you about all that?
Well, first, let me just say that I'm not just a fan of Slab Sharks. I'm a continuous customer. And I can speak to both their payments coming in really quick when you sell with them and their card shipping to you really quick when you buy from them. I'm glad my wife is definitely not listening to this. And then the second part is, Karn, since the very beginning when I first met him, Steve said to me, meet Karn, he's the future of the hobby. And since that day, he has shown me that he is willing to invest and innovate and really push the hobby forward. They've done an amazing job building out their booth and really creating a great experience and really welcoming, new people who are coming into the hobby are going to them right away because they feel comfortable. They look at the brand. They understand what they've created there. And every single week without fail, there is awesome stuff for sale ending Thursday, right? Which is like their own. And Karn has talked about how that's his own day. He owns Thursday. And it's cool. It's ruined my Thursdays. I'm now watching football and secretly scrolling and
spending your paycheck.
I
just want to say quickly, even today when I was at this monthly show here in Calgary and I was sort of pitching the Slab Sharks idea to a couple of the vendors, there's an attendee standing there who kind of speaks up and says, yeah, they do a great job. So it's like I had help. You know what I mean, Karn? I'm glad I can tell you this now because that's Like that's what they built in short order. In short order, right? So
let me tell you what it takes. I go to sleep at 4 a.m. and I get emails at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 3:45 a.m. and I answer back at 2:30 a.m., 3:30 a.m., 3:45 a.m. I wake up at 9 a.m. and I'm still answering emails at 9 a.m. That's what it takes, right? It's just I really think you got to be a little bit crazy to be a business owner to really make it work. And I'm definitely a little crazy, and my wife hates it, but she supports it and she helps me a lot too. So it's awesome.
And look, you're amongst friends, right? Every single one of us on here is a small business owner and an entrepreneur, so we understand where you're coming from. And look, it pays dividend. It really shows on what you're doing. And further to what Jeremy asked earlier, what I'm excited about is now you're bringing something that we've been adding to the show, which is the content piece, and showing people creating it live. And Josh as well. I've watched Josh's show grow from when he first started and where he is today is night and day. And again, same thing. Josh puts a ton of time and effort pre-show, also doing long form content. I know that to produce an hour of content, he's spending like 25 hours pre, post, and during. Right. So it's really great to see all of your hard work paying dividends now. So I'm excited to see that union and excited to see both of you doing such great success.
And I just want to validate what you just said, Mikey, about the preparation that Josh and the Gongshow team puts into each episode, because tomorrow, I don't know, Josh, tomorrow. Yeah, go for it. Tomorrow I am the co-host on the Gong Show. Now with Troy leaving the team or leaving the hosting duties, Josh is kind of bringing in a rotating group of co-hosts, and I'm coming in tomorrow, and I see in the shared Google document just how much work goes into this thing. And I'll be honest, it's caused me a bit of stress the last 24 hours to pull my load on this, to do what I need to do. So, but I'll definitely be bringing some heat, I hope, to the episode for everybody. I know there's a lot to live up to there, and I want to make sure that I contribute the same that everyone else does. Your last episode, Josh, was one of my favorites, and I want to make special mention to Phil's segment, because he said, I don't know who here heard that, but Phil's segment on the Gong Show, not the most recent episode, but the one before it, I believe. Josh, these guys put out 2 episodes a week, so sometimes I get lost in all of it, but it was one of the best pieces of rant, if you will, that I'd heard in a lot. It really resonated with me, Josh, and I think that is almost must listen to content for anybody in the hobby. The whole episode was, I sent Josh a message. I go, man, that was a great episode top to bottom. It really was. But the loud Phil, I think you call it the poo on Phil's shoe or something like that.
What's the poo on Phil's shoe? Yeah.
That's the name of Phil's segment. And it's must listen content for anybody in the hobby, because it was just really about keeping things real, if you will. I really enjoyed it. Anyway, I just wanted to shout that out. Josh, tell us a little bit about what you plan to do at the Slab Sharks studio in 2 weeks from now.
Well, kind of our whole plan is to really produce that Monday show from the Slab Sharks studio, and to, produce additional interviews that we'll use at later dates, because one of the things we really pride ourselves on is I missed one show in 3 years almost now, and it was a technological nightmare, and it kills me to this day. And so, and just the logistics of us coming from Minnesota to the show and back, it's going to be a little hairy, even because we got to do a show the Thursday after the expo too. And so a lot of interviews. We've talked a lot about, using, this is a new experience for us, and using the people, all the great, folks within the hobby there, and just really kind of inviting people in to see our process a little bit, I think is the main thing. And then beyond, when we're recording and thanks to Karn and Slab Sharks, who have been the most amazing partners for us, is that, we have a home base now to meet people and to talk to people that listen for us. And I'll just say one thing too about Slab Sharks real quick, is that, one of our core philosophies is we're not trying to have every sponsor in the world. We want companies that we believe in.
What are you trying to say here?
What? No. Oh, geez. I just saw your brand board. I'm not throwing shade.
Come on, Josh. I thought we were friends.
Sorry. Oops. But we want a handful of people that we really believe in, and that we know without a shadow of a doubt that they provide an amazing service that we can be proud of, and that we can really be a strong advocate for, and have no reservation about using our platform to say, we highly, we can't give a higher recommendation to use Slab Sharks because we're clients too. And we, and kind of what you guys don't even probably understand is that normally if I buy a card in Canada, like right now, it's like, well, maybe I'll get it by Christmas typically. And I don't even know how Slab Sharks gets, they're fast. And the presentation is amazing, and the customer service is great. And so I share what your comments, Jeremy, about in such a short amount of time that they've just built a world-class organization. So very proud to work with them.
Well, one thing I'm disappointed about that you're going to be doing that content at the Slab Shark Studios, that I'm not going to see you at my booth as much as I have gotten used to over the past several expos, Josh, because it's always great. And it seems like people come by and they're like, hey, have you seen Josh? I'm like, well, no, but he'll be back in about 20 minutes probably. And now I'll be able to direct them to where you'll be, because you'll have more of a station.
We have wireless mics, so maybe I'll just walk over while we're recording. And
right on. Please do. So there was a question that came up in the chat from Rome Rant a little while ago. He said, where did it go? He asked, I've heard the floor plan has changed. And if we touched on that, we had. We're in different facility or different halls now, Rome, as you might know. But and Karn, I want you to jump in again. I think you wanted to, but I'll go to Steve Menzie first. Steve mentioned just kind of to Rome and or you mentioned earlier that on Monday you're going to be sending out that floor plan again. But is there anything that you'd like to say about it again? Because that was already almost 2 hours ago that you first spoke about it.
Yeah, well, the good news is for everyone here that you're going to be very close to Slab Sharks and the Gongshow podcast, so you're only 2 aisles over. Yeah, so it's what I was saying earlier is that, and I'm happy about this, but every show since COVID has continued to get bigger physically, but sadly, the more difficult side is that every show has been a different, if not a different hall configuration, a different floor plan within those hall configurations. So that's to say it's challenging would be an understatement. But yeah, this one's no different. So we're back in Hall 2 where we were in June of 22. So the second show post-COVID, but we've added on Halls 3 and Hall 4. So it's a bit of a mix of what you saw last November with PSA and Beckett on-site grading and the autographs in Hall 4, but adding in Hall 2. So yeah, it's been a lot of work. And I appreciate everyone being patient. What I can do, we'll be able to send the floor plan out on first thing Monday morning, and I'll give you a quick glimpse. Here, there it is.
The quickest glimpse.
You see your booth? There it is. No, we're very excited. We're doing what we can to work with it, trying to make it interesting. And as I said, I think there's a lot to discover, and it's part of the hunt. I think it's going to be good fun.
I actually love it. I like the variation. Personally, I love the routine of knowing where I'm going to be every show as well. I don't mind change. I like change here and there in life, and it keeps things spicy. I don't mind it at all. So I'm excited for the floor plan for the show. Of course, Karn, I want to go back to you, give you a chance to maybe respond to some of what Josh was saying, and anything else you'd like to mention.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited. I just want to relay it back to Josh, like how great a Hockey Card Gong Show has been for the hobby. I honestly think has pushed the hobby forward like immensely. Like I literally go onto Hockey Card Gong Show and get my hobby news of what's happening in terms of prices in the hobby, and that's so important for our company specifically as well, to kind of understand what cards are going for. So it's so much effort to create a podcast, and not even that, the graphics and the Instagram channel, it's just phenomenal. And then on Steve and Mikey's part, obviously, by the way, Josh, I'm invested or part of 3 companies on top of that brand banner there. So, I'm a little sponsor for multiple of those. But one of those is the Van City Card Show. And obviously, I had a very small role in comparison to the guys in Vancouver. And I know how difficult and tough it is to run a show. And now I've always known that, but now I had that firsthand experience of how many small things you got to really put together. So honestly, when you're walking the show, say thank you to guys like Steve and Mikey and their team, because it truly is just amazing amount of moving parts and putting it together and having that show where you walk into the Sports Card Expo and you kind of understand that consistency of that show and how it's going to be every single time we're at that show. That requires masterful effort, in my opinion. And the way these guys get it done, it's something to look up to. And Steve and Mikey, we had issues and we went to them, and they're just so amazing with advice and how to get things done as well. Just say thank you to these guys for, running such a tight, crazy, amazing show.
Yeah. And you mentioned how the Gongshow has really helped build the hobby, and it's the community. I mean, the community, to me, we talked about this at the beginning of the show. It's my favorite part. Like, all 4 of you guys on this screen are among my closest friends, believe it or not, all 4 of you. And that doesn't happen without this hobby. It just doesn't. Mm-hmm. And then we all have our own little sub communities within the whole community, So, Josh has producer Louie, and he's got Loud Phil, and he's got Neil, and he's got Troy, and he's got, everybody, all the co-hosts that he brings on. And Karn's got the team there, and the team from the Van City show, and Steve's got all the vendors and all, and all of us, and Mikey's Mikey. I mean, who doesn't want to hang out with Mikey? Come on. So, I mean, it's that, that's what this is all about for me. That's why the hobby is literally my life. There's my family, and there's the hobby. And the hobby is like a second family to me. You guys are a big part of that. Like, literally all 4 of you on the screen. And many of the people we had on this episode so far, some of them I don't know. James Spence, that was the first time I really got to talk to him at length. And but that's what this is about, is meeting people, enhancing our lives. The hobby does it because of our common interest in cardboard or commerce in the cardboard industry. It's all good. If you're good people, if you're doing things right, you get my vote. And I think everyone here has done that. Everyone we had on the show tonight has done that. Friendly competitors. I've been involved with tag grading now as an investor for how long now, Karn? Probably it's coming up on 3
years. Yeah, 3 years
or so. And I have Chris Carlin from PSA, a competitor, but it's friendly. It's friendly competition, and we're friends. It's just, we have a great community here. We have a great group of people. I'm so grateful to be a part of it. I'm looking forward to Rip Party. I'm looking forward to. I'm coming to the Slab Sharks studio. Josh, get ready. I'm coming down.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna grab a mic and do some talking with you at some point. I'm just excited for all of it. Before I give everyone a chance for some final comments, so hang tight. I want to go to some comments in the chat, and I'm gonna start right here with producer Louie. Producer of the Gong Show says the outpouring of people supporting us in this blowing up. It's blowing us. So let me start over. The outpouring of people supporting us in this is blowing us away. He's talking about Rip Party, I believe. We thank everyone as a part of the Gong Show. I want to also call out here Irish Flyers. Neil, can't wait to some. Oh, we did that one. Some Upper Deck chicken fingers. We got comments here. I'm kind of behind in them here, but that is okay. Thank you, Louis, for coming to see me at the show. I appreciate this. He says, I will be honest and didn't expect it, but this is a great community of people. Yes, it is. I agree. And Bobby Burrell says, with 4 decades of Toronto Expos under my belt, my wife often humorously refers to this hobby as my mistress. And honestly, I'm absolutely fine with it. That's a good way of putting it, Bobby. I agree. It certainly is and can be that way. All right, guys, we're in overtime here. Let's do some final words, and then we're going to wrap up this show. And I'm glad to have you guys on here with me to wrap this up. Who wants to go first? Because I could call on you guys, but let's see. Someone put up her hand. I want someone to volunteer here to go first and kind of start the goodbye. Mikey, we'll start with
I'll
you.
go first. This is the quietest I've been in 2 hours. That's for sure. This hobby is incredible. It's really fun to be a part of. I thank Steve all the time for bringing me into this and letting me help with the show. We've made some other great clients, and then obviously me and you, Jeremy, have become great friends with it. So many nights when we're on the phone together, talking cards and other things. And then now the neighborhood kids, because of this hobby, roll by my house looking for free cards. I rip packs and like have to repack things just for them. So it's nice. And it's nice to see how much it's growing. Every single day at school drop off, there's a new dad being like, hey, when's the show? What's it like? Can I buy such and such there? So excited to see what this year will bring. And again, as this hobby continues to grow.
Thank you, Mikey, for coming out on tonight and for everything that you do for the Expo and for the community. Steve, let's go to you.
Yeah, and I'll say it kind of seconds what Mikey said, and also a bit of a theme, I guess, around tonight. In that, I said this on to you a couple of years ago, Jeremy, is that I kind of knew what the show was and was going to be. I think one of the things I didn't realize I was most taken back by, but how important the community aspect of it is, how important the relationships are, how much that this is just a lifestyle, a way of life, it is in addition to everything else that it represents. So that's really important to me. The passion is really important to me. I love when people are passionate about something, and there's no shortage of passion here. That can cut both ways sometimes, but so I feel very fortunate, and I take it very seriously that I'm a bit of a steward, if you will, of the Expo for collectors and dealers. So I'm very aware of that, and I hope that comes through. So
it does, because you came in from not being a sports card enthusiast, and you embraced it, and you did lean on a lot of the veteran vendors and participants, and you listen and you execute on some of the ideas and suggestions you get, and you're keen to it all. And I think that is something that we appreciate, and you become part of the family, the community, and at a pretty lofty position, because you do run the event that occurs twice a year in Toronto, among Montreal, Edmonton, and Quebec City as well, that we all look forward to immensely all year long. So thanks for coming on as always.
Thank you.
Let's go. We'll go around the horn here. Josh, final comments to you. Anything you want to shout out or mention about Expo?
I think I would just echo a lot of the sentiments that have already been shared. And my advice to anyone is put yourself out there a little bit. If you're going, introduce yourself to people. One of the things we hear a lot is, oh, I saw you, but I didn't want to come and bother you or something like that. And honestly, like, my natural inclination is not to be Mr. Gregarious like Jeremy. You're a very good networker, and you're very you put yourself out there in that way. But pushing myself to do that in this hobby has been super rewarding. Most of my best friends are in it now, and the hobby is a very welcoming place. It's we're the ultimate outsiders. We're a bunch of dorks from Minnesota, and that come into Canada and encroach on your guys' national treasure, the game of hockey. And people just have been so kind and nice to us that it's humbling. And I think that anyone should just, if you're at the show and you see someone, just go introduce yourself, and like you said, Jeremy, or go to your network event, which will be there for sure, and make some new friends.
Yeah, well said. Before we get to Karn, producer Louis echoes it. Oh my God, bother us, he says. Mark says we're not dorks. It's okay, Mark. We can be dorks. We can be cardboard nerds. But at the end of the day, we're a bunch of human beings that have a common interest, and it's brought us together. We come from all different walks of life, all different provinces, states, and even countries. And Josh, I just want to say, like, Minnesota is the hockey capital of the United States. It's the land of 10,000 lakes. I mean, you guys have a lot of pond hockey going on in Minnesota. You got a great college hockey program there. You're not outsiders. You are not outsiders. And we are inclusive. And let's face it, Canadians might be some of the most inclusive people out there. And we are inclusive. We love seeing Americans at the Expo or any Canadian event, really. It makes us feel good that Americans take an interest in what's going on up here in Canada, whether it's the Sport Card Expo or something else. So, you're certainly not outsiders. I just want to make sure you know that. Karn, let's go to you.
I'm going to just say a general comment. We used to all be dorks once upon a time with hockey cards and sports cards, Pokemon cards, and then something changed. Now we're the cool ones. Now everyone wants to see our collections, and I don't know where it happened and when it happened, but it happened, and now we have athletes, celebrities, all trying to see what we're doing. So it's been an exciting journey in this hobby, and echoing everyone's sentiments here. Slab Sharks, come by anytime, even if it's just to show us a card that's a part of your collection, and maybe you just want to understand a valuation on a card, or just talk cards. We have so many great guys at the booth there, and obviously we're going to have the hockey card Gongshow guys there as well. And then I think some surprise guests are going to be there as well on the weekend. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say yet, but there's some cool activations going on with partnership with eBay. So yeah, it's going to be a fun area to hang around. And definitely, if you want to just talk to me about the consignment process and what we're all about, come chat. And like always, and I always say this, and some people don't believe me, but the people that kind of see the work we're doing behind the scenes, our success in this hobby, we just keep reinvesting it back into building it better, easier, quicker, faster for everyone that is a customer of ours. So honestly, just supporting us, anything that we make from it, we're putting it back in and just making it better for everyone that's a customer of ours. And then on top of that, before we leave, we got to talk about the tag a little bit as well. I know there's a lot of tag fans in this group here in the chat. We will be taking submissions for Tag Canada essentially. So come by if you want to grade your cards with tag. It's not going to be on site. We're going to ship them back, but we're going to ship them back very quickly right after the show. And there's a whole group submission portal, so you'll be able to see the kind of tracking of your whole submission process. So yeah, if you're a tag fan and you want to submit your cards, come by and we'll help you out with that as well.
Right on. All right, guys.
Can I do one more shout out that I didn't do before?
Neil says tag fanboy. Appreciate that, Neil. Yes, go ahead, Mikey.
Just a shout out to Drew Menard from our team, who is grinding away and who works in the background and takes a lot of the heat and doesn't get nearly enough credit. So I just wanted to give him a quick shout out on the show.
I'd like to shout him out too. I've been emailing with him. He's very helpful. He's very friendly, and you can tell that he's busy as heck. And he does not. It does not come off in his communications. He's a pro. Mikey, you got a good one there for sure. He's always so gracious and polite and just wonderful to communicate with, for sure. I'm glad you. Hey, let's take a moment and let's everybody, all of you guys, shout somebody out who's not on the show, who's a part of your team or someone that's helped you out. Mikey, you just started it. Karn, I want you to shout somebody out on the team. Shout whatever you want to do, because I got to meet your guys. I got to meet the partners. Shout out somebody. Let's do it.
Honestly, they all work their butts off, so I'm going to shout them all out real quickly. Raja, Harvin, Nav, Gagan, also the rest of the ops team, Chris, Derek, Sam, Rajdeep as well, Gurnur, everyone's, Ogun as well. So we have a pretty large team, and shout out to all the hard work. A lot of things go into it, and thanks, guys, for making this all happen.
Josh, why don't you shout out somebody that has helped you out along the way?
Well, I got to shout out Baba Louie, who's in the chat here. Doing Rip Party and doing the Slab Shark Studio is not, from a technology standpoint, is not something we've ever even come close to doing. And we've had about 15 Rip Parties in Baba Louie's basement to this point, and the first 10 did not go well. And so, but he's really worked with me, and we've worked every night to, because we care about the quality of everything we do, whether it's going to be with Karn at the booth at Slab Sharks. And we, for 2.5 months, we've spent every night perfecting and making sure that that we're gonna, represent ourselves and everyone else well at the expo, and so I couldn't do it without him.
Steve?
Well, I think she's still listening, so my wife's certainly the most for for putting up with all of this. It's been phenomenal, but Mikey and the team have been phenomenal. So I certainly have to, from our auspicious beginnings to where we are now, it makes it a ton of fun. We have a lot of work that we do, but yeah, you know what? It's hard to narrow it down even beyond that, because there's so many of the dealers and collectors that I've come to know that I so look forward to now, and they're a lot of fun, a lot of good people. So that's all.
Very, very nice. Mike Double V says, "Oh, hello, Mike. Sorry, just getting to you now, but welcome to the show at the end." Mark says, "Nice show. Thank you, Neil. Great show, everyone. So looking forward to Expo. 11 more sleeves." I want to shout out all the guests who joined us tonight. We had, 13 or 14 guests. I want to shout out the chat, who's been, amazing through all the content I've been doing for almost 5 years now. So, guys, this was fun. I want to thank you all for joining. I want to thank you guys for what you're bringing to the Expo. I cannot wait for it to be here in about less than 2 weeks until we hop on planes and make our way to Toronto, Mississauga. Steve, you got time to get everything done. Don't worry. You got 10 or so days still, buddy.
It's all good.
To get it all done. Guys, we're going to wrap up. Thanks again, everybody, for joining the show tonight. If you are listening later on, I appreciate it. This show is available on podcast, Spotify, Apple, wherever you do get your podcasts. Please leave a rating, review, hopefully a positive one, subscribe, and all that. Greatly appreciate it. Louis, thank you very much as well. Another great guy that I don't know if it's not him. Neil, I don't know these guys if not for the hobby. And the Gongshow, even some of these guys, so it's just great. Barry Ma, thank you so much. Thanks for coming on and being a wonderful presence in the hobby. Just somebody who is a real human being.
Yep.
Sounds funny to say, but it's just the way I feel. One of the best guys out there. Barry Ma from COMC out of the Canadian office, and everybody else who joined us. We had Ameet, we had Sam, we had Chris Carlin, Karthik from eBay, James Spence, we had Karn, Josh, Billy. I think I got everyone there. Unfortunately, Jay, who's also Mojo Sports, wasn't able to make it, nor was Johnny Amendola from Mintink, but they've been on. They will be on again, guys. That's it. This episode is over. Thanks, everybody, for joining us here on October the 26th, 2025, episode 244 of Sports Cards Live is now over.